Good afternoon, good evening, and good day. Welcome back to HeroesCCL, presented by Wisdom. My name is Bahamut, joined by Grubby and Justing as always. And, also as always, we had just a little bit of a break, a nice little interview with Kyle and Mene. And during that break, gotta ask what you guys got up to. I'm gonna start with Justing.
So I got some snacks. I got Springy some water. She was following me around the house. And then I had to take another look at the core call from 30k. I had to watch that back a few times to try to figure out what went wrong there and what happened.
Well, maybe we'll have you break that down in just a little bit here. And I have had a request for more Springy on stream, so I don't know if you can make that happen. Maybe some prize pool incentivization as well. But Grubby, what did you get up to on your break?
Got some Greek yogurt with honey, and then I watched my wife play some Storm League. Always fun to walk in when I'm on a small break and check her dunking on people with Asmodan.
I mean, Casmodan, she plays the best hero, one of the best heroes in Heroes of the Storm. I mean, she doesn't play as much Cho'Gall as I would like, but still, either way, no, definitely, it's always fun just to pop in. I hope her games are going well, and I hope she's winning quite a bit, stealing all those Storm League points. I got myself some fruit snacks, we got some more tea here, and we are ready to get into more HeroesCCL action. We're getting ready for Simplicity versus WildHeart Esports, and I do believe we can start breaking down these rosters as we have Simplicity in the blue here, Grubby. And could you just break down maybe your expectations for this team, or even just who's on the roster?
Yeah, we saw Mene just now in the interview. He's going to be joined by Legacy, Masquerade, Unaverted, and Fancy Pants. And while I have seen Cure playing some scrims and maybe some small cups or just like matches, I don't know if he's going to be playing this weekend. Actually, was playing hot quite a bit. Been watching him on stream. Maybe he will. Maybe someone else isn't going to be there. But he's not part of the main roster anymore. The main roster, though, is super strong. Simplicity, obviously, the 2-times winner. These guys, they've got what it takes to win the game. But Justin, you think WildHeart is looking strong?
Yeah, I think that they've really seemed to peak near the end of the season, whereas Simplicity, the last time we saw them, didn't look so strong. So this match could really go either way, and I'm not quite sure which team's going to have used that break time better. But we've got Mason Blaze playing the ranged, Slug Hunter will be the off lane, Tremor is the main tank, Weary playing that support, and Zergling is made the transition over to the flex position. And we've got Lupus, who maybe will make a show if something goes terribly wrong for WildHeart, but we'll have to find out if that's the case. Something a little bit interesting between these two teams is that Unaverted was the WildHeart ranged before, and so now he's on Simplicity, so we have a bit of a grudge match between Unaverted and WildHeart.
A little bit of a grudge match between these two teams, and both of you kind of make a note about the subs, and I mean, realistically, I do see a world, I was actually thinking about it this past week, I see a world where if Simplicity finds themselves back against the wall, let's say they lose the first 2 maps up against WildHeart, maybe Cure, you know, he jumps in the phone booth, puts on his Superman cape, and he joins the members of Simplicity for that map 3. We'll have to see. I'm not counting Cure out by any means to jump into Simplicity and maybe help them out if things get dire, but we'll have to find out, well, what happens at that point, because right now we are getting ready to get into our first map in the second best of 5 of the day, and we can let you know where we're going to be heading and how we got to Tomb of the Spider Queen. This is going to be the map choice of WildHeart. Now, the home team this evening, as Simplicity, as the higher seeded team, will have the option, not a coin flip, the option for first pick or map pick. Simplicity opts for first pick, banning out Battlefield of Eternity, WildHeart getting rid of Cursed Hollow. And when I was doing some stats earlier today, Simplicity, one of their worst maps is Battlefield, so they're going to get rid of that map. And over on the side of WildHeart, Cursed Hollow, they haven't really lost too much on that map, but it is an okay-ish map for the side of Simplicity. So we're going to be getting ready for Tomb of the Spider Queen, and of course the stats for this map. The members of Simplicity, they are 1 and 2, playing this map 3 times, winning it once, losing it twice. Side of WildHeart, they've played this map 4 times, 3 wins, 1 loss. As we get into this draft, Justin, got to get your thoughts and anticipation for these two teams on Tomb.
So this map should favor WildHeart, just based off of their play style and their win rate on the map. WildHeart is a team that plays very well as a cohesive unit, as a 4-man, 5-man, roaming together and getting picks together as a team. They seem very coordinated and synergized in combo-based team comps. And Tomb of the Spider Queen being a very small map, it's a map where you are allowed to do that without getting punished, not getting split pushed on. The map is really small. You can just kind of roam together as a 4-man or a 5-man. So just stylistically between these two teams, I would expect the map to favor WildHeart. So it's a good choice by them.
Justin, I need to throw another question right at you immediately. With a ban on the Mephisto, he is very strong overall, but do you think that's kind of Simplicity showing their hand a little bit with the expectation of maybe a double support?
It definitely does show that there's a chance for double support. WildHeart has banned Vala away, so if they were looking to go that route, they aren't going to be getting the sort of supreme double support hyper carry in that Vala. So both teams seem to be fairly hyper aware of a potential for double support. Again, possibly alluding to some inside scrim info that they have between these teams.
And Grubby, as we look at the bans, there's no Junkrat ban, and I was just about to say I don't see a world where WildHeart just lets that slip away from them.
So good at stopping objective turn-ins, great at controlling the smoke screens between the lanes, and amazing wave clear against webbies and against the monsters, of course, the web weavers and the minions themselves.
Yeah, those rock lobsters are very difficult to deal with in the bottom lane, and you want to watch out for those summonable babies, as we've learned from Justin this season. Sorry, but let's Justin, please. We got a couple more picks before the ban phase. Got to get your thoughts on Maiev Stukov.
Yeah, I can't help but think that it might be a bit of a mistake from WildHeart taking the Dahaka when Stukov was available. Rhaegar was banned out, and Stukov and Rhaegar seem to be just the best two supports overall. And if you are worried about a double support, Stukov is by far the best support to enable in double support. So I was expecting an Uther ban here. It looks like when you have the Maiev can very easily flex into that main tank position with a double support. If Simplicity is able to get Stukov, Maiev, Blaze, Uther on Tomb with pretty much any hyper carry, that's very scary for the side of Simplicity, or for the side of WildHeart. They should be pretty afraid if that's what they get. So I'm a little bit worried for WildHeart so far in the draft. If Simplicity does choose to go that route, they don't necessarily have to. They can still leave Maiev as just kind of that flex. Unaverted plays it quite a bit, so they have the ability to play it with a normal composition just as a flex pick. So whatever these last two picks are from these next two picks from WildHeart are, will probably kind of dictate whether or not Simplicity chooses to go that double support route or not.
I mean, I could see WildHeart grabbing the Uther for themselves, and this is a very dive-heavy composition from Simplicity, banning out that Garrosh, which denies that, but we are going to see the WildHeart special that we've seen in the past, that Stitch is coming out, and of course, Grubby, please, I'm sure you've got some ideas or thoughts on this draft.
I think going for a tool of single target isolation and abduction is always wise into a potential double support. Stitches is great at breaking apart those compositions with the hook gorge and saying, we're not just 5-on-5 brawling into a double support tool Jhin or whatever.
And you also have Mind Control from Sylvanas to lock people down, Chattering Teeth that you can hook into. You've also got Concussion Mines to force people back, but there's the Uther that you were talking about, Justin, from that both of us were expecting to be banned up by WildHeart, but an immediate Ana, and this draft has unfolded very quickly. Gotta get your thoughts here, Justin, as we're just about to load into Tomb of the Spider Queen, map number 1 in the second best of 5 of the day with Simplicity versus WildHeart Esports.
I love Simplicity's draft. I think that if this was last season, they would have picked this almost in a reverse order. Getting the Uther last pick is kind of ridiculous. He was getting permanently banned from first pick at the end of the last season, and Uther hasn't undergone any major changes to kind of say that that's not worth it anymore. Being able to get a last pick Uther here, their draft seemed pretty telegraphed. They banned the Garrosh, as that's one of the best counters to double support as well. He has the body check, and he's got the throw, which is just hard to deal with. So really, it's going to come down to whether or not Simplicity is comfortable playing this style of composition where Maiev is sort of your main tank in the composition, but their comp just looks insane to me for Simplicity. They got the best tank offlane for the composition with Blaze. He provides damage reduction to the enemy team, as well as at level 20 you can give everyone 50 armor with the bunker. You have Uther and Stukov, which is the strongest combination of double support. You have Gul'dan, which has a lot of wave clear and just good sustain damage, and it's a melee special. So that's kind of, it covers everything, and you have Maiev with wave clear, a good main tank substitute in double support. WildHeart is going to need to get a lot of picks with the Stitches Junkrat and do a lot of displacement if they're going to want to break up this 5-man death ball from Simplicity. I'm not seeing the Dahaka getting a ton of value here unless he's able to get some really good drag tongues. And they do have the anti-heal grenade coming out from Ana. Sylvanas, though, not the absolute best target for that nano. So unless Tremor is able to pop off on Stitches, I would be very worried for the side of WildHeart with the draft that they've picked up against Simplicities.
Well, as always, Justin, thank you for the breakdown and analysis on these two drafts, and we'll see how this all unfolds here, and we'll see you after Tomb of the Spider Queen, because we have got our load in already, and we'll have Simplicity in the blue, Legacy on the Stukov, Masquerade on the Uther, Unaverted to play the Maiev, Mene on the Gul'dan, and Fancy Pants or Pants on the Blaze. Over on the red, or in the right, we're going to be seeing WildHeart Esports, Weary Day on the Ana, Zergling on the Junkrat, Slug Hunter on the Dahaka, Tremor to play Stitches, and Mason Blaze on the Sylvanas. Justin has made so many very, very good points about the strength of Simplicity, and I agree, there's a lot of layered lockdown, burst ability is extremely high, wave clear is all there, but the Stitches X Factor. That is the biggest thing for me here, Grubby. I'm going to lean into WildHeart as we have a nice concussion mine onto Masquerade. That's going to be any drag from Dahaka. Slug Hunter misses it, unfortunately. Bit of a skirmish back and forth, but I got to get your thoughts on these drafts.
Yeah, Simplicity had a plan at the beginning of the game, and they've executed it in terms of the draft, from the Mephisto ban all the way until the Uther pick. WildHeart either didn't see it coming or didn't care. They've got their own plan. Stitches, he's a rule breaker. You can always win the game when you've got him, but there's a lot of space between now and a level 20 crucial Gorge kill that tilts the game in your favor in a 5v4. And it's often in that little space between level 1 to 20 that things can go wrong. We do have a very strong wave clear and defense here from WildHeart. When you have Sylvanas Junkrat like this, even Dahaka, that can help to keep the experience even. It can help to clear lanes that otherwise are pushing at you too fast, too hard. It's not like their wave clear is a Grey main here who has to get up close and personal for his best wave clear. It can be done at great distance. So I do think WildHeart has a defensive comp. I also think they're going to need it because Stukov Uther tend to steamroll through the competition with great facility, great ease. We'll see how it goes for both of these two teams here. By the way, we do have Stitches Junkrat. Fantastic combo. I almost forgot about it.
Yeah, and it's
maybe because of that I would almost vote for WildHeart. Maybe I will. Fantastic combo.
And that's kind of, as I said in my kind of thoughts and analysis, it's that Stitches X factor. Hook into Steel Trap is extremely strong. We'll see if Zergling will go into the trap build. We're actually going to find out right now the direction this Junkrat will go with this level 4 pickup. The assumption is it will be trap build with the Stitches, because then you can go into the Sticky Wicket for that silence at level 7, and then you can take Big Az that was moved to level 13. I honestly think that the way that they shifted the talents for the Steel Traps, Grubby, kind of buffed Junkrat in a little bit, because now you have Sticky Wicket, Chattering Teeth, and the Big Az. It's just, it chases, it zones, it prioritizes heroes, and you don't even need... Oh, that's a very good hook onto Masquerade. Good stun from Masquerade. He is zoned by a concussion mine. He will get, actually, it was a good bounce, actually, for Masquerade. Didn't get the pull that Zergling was looking for, but still, I'm actually going to go ahead and hover on Stitch's cooldown for his hook, because it just came back off a cooldown. Don't expect it here just yet, but still, good plays thus far as the Sleep Dart comes out. Control from the Umbral Bind to pull Stitches back in. Great drag onto the Blaze, a follow-up hook, and Fancy Pants will go down. Grubby right there. That is going to be First Blood. Oh.
First Blood. Yes!
We tried so hard.
I was ready before you were dragging it out. I'm like, come on, man, have a little faith.
I need to have more faith for the future, but it is going to be a really nice first kill for the side of WildHeart, and I do think that they actually denied some of those gems that were dropped on the ground, too.
Yeah, you said gems were denied?
Because Blaze had 10, I think, and some may have gotten picked up, but I think a lot were lost right there, and Masquerade will drop 5, but those are immediately picked up by Legacy.
It was really, really nicely done by WildHeart because they locked down whoever they killed. Who was that again?
Blaze?
Blaze, yeah. And then Stitches just had so much time to walk back and actually abduct those gems as well. It wasn't just about getting the kills, but also having that gem deposit happen too far into the wall. So far it's been working out. Anytime Stitches can actually get more kills than the enemy team before level 7, you know that they're gonna have a good game. So far I'm feeling confident with that last minute prediction switch that I did, because I was like, hey, Stitches Junkrat never loses. So I'm with WildHeart.
No. You just cursed him.
No. I take it back. I resume neutrality.
Okay. I actually, while we have these web weavers ascending, I want to point out Weary Day taking Mind Numbing Agent at level 7. Every dose a hero has reduces their spell power by 10. This is a great way to reduce healing from Legacy, healing from Uther, Masquerade, and also damage output from Mene on the Gul'dan. I feel like I don't see this Mind Numbing Agent very often. It's usually like full sleep build or full grenade build. This is actually a pretty cool pickup for the... Oh my god, that was a wonderful concussion mine! What? Zergling! Wow!
Yeah, great concussive there. Nice kill there. Fantastic job. Circling, definitely happy with that Junkrat availability still. Oh, hook straight into the fort. Was gunning for Legacy. Didn't quite get that though, but WildHeart, good early result there. 50% on the mid fort. One more kill.
3-0 in favor for WildHeart. A solid, let's say quarter to a third level lead for our red team. The gem turn-in availability does exist to the side of Simplicity. They got 53 in their pockets, 10 already deposited. That's what that means on the bottom right. And it was actually a long time ago, it was added into the game where the gem count actually glows when you have enough. Do you remember the days, Grubby, when you'd have to sit there in Storm League and do mental math? I mean, some people may have easier times with doing simple addition, but they added in that,
I
like...
still do it. I don't look at that gem
Really?
glow yet, just to keep myself young, you know.
You gotta keep you gotta keep your brain spry. You know, you gotta do the mental gymnastics. But with the map being kind of controlled by WildHeart and the 10 talent tier here, it seems like Simplicity wants to just play it safe and turtle up for 10s. Maybe like looking to take the team fight now that Unaverted has joined the rest of the team.
He is here. You can try to get some nice umbrals in. We look at the heroics chosen here for Simplicity. It's Warden's Cage, Horrify, Bunker. It's going to be funny. Horrify, Warden Cage, actually a cool combo because everyone gets boinked back to the center. So not only are they damaged by the fear and walking aimlessly without being able to, but they actually stay in the center, taking more damage from everybody as well. Want to see everyone try to be forced to try and break out of that cage, get popped back in. A massive fan of knives and fell flame damage. Let's see if they can get that combo.
Drag was attempted onto the Maiev. She actually used a lot of her abilities. She will have the Umbral Bind here. Actually, I didn't think she had the Spirit of Vengeance to get out right there. I thought it was already utilized, but Masquerade taking a lot of damage. Bunker does block the hook from Stitches. Great kill onto the Riptire from Maiev with the Fan of Knives. Fancy Pants getting pulled in. There's going to be the Horrify from Gul'dan. Fancy Pants at 300 HP is going to be saved. The double support coming in clutch, but also just the bodies getting in the way. Now, here's something that we need to talk about, Grubby. The level, I guess it's not even the level. Well, it's the level 13, but people at home might be wondering, why does Stitches have a hook baseline quest? They added in a level 13. You used to at level 13 have to take Fishing Hook to increase the range of your hook by 40%. Now it's baseline, so when 13 hits, Tremor is going to really be going fishing. And I'll be honest, Grubby, there's at least 2 to 3 hooks that were like a couple pixels shy of landing, so this 40% range should be huge for WildHeart.
Yeah, exactly. I think he's going to get some great results from that. It's a very confident Stitches pick as well. No doubt about that. And did you see how fast that Ana was picked as well into double support? Oh, wow, again. Speak about pixel short, but he doesn't care. He just walks up. Well, Nano Sylvanas walks up, eats the Uther, and he goes down. Rip tutorial guy. Try not to think about it too hard. As WildHeart walks forward, they get the black arrow on the fort. There's another hook on Stukov. Can they get the kill? Full charges from Ana. That's a great concussive.
Oh my
god.
god.
Kill. WildHeart is absolutely rolling it.
Riptire should be enough damage here, and Mene will be able to pick up these gems. Oh! The double back from Mene. If he didn't do that kind of wiggle at the end, that would have been a hook, and that would have been just gem economy shattered on the side of Simplicity.
Yeah, not my first rodeo, says Mene. He knew exactly what Tremor was thinking, and Tremor didn't hold that hook. He was just going for the level 1 psychology abduction, and it didn't fall for it. Very clever. He's got 50 gems. Will Mene now move himself on Gul'dan to the bottom of the map, try and turn those gems in, as he has the major gem economy? Or will he stay put in the top lane, trying to stop the boss? Looks like there was a bit of delay. He is moving in that area. Everybody else covering him is actually going to clear a little bit more. That's awkward because He's got the gems required. He went for that clear. Now I feel like Stitches is gonna come in here. Masquerade now has to eat the hook. He doesn't. There was a cleanse, but it was like mid-hook, so it doesn't do anything. And then he could get gorged because it was over. This is awkward. Why did he clear one more wave?
Oh,
That's
no.
50 gems.
No, isolation connects onto Blaze as well. 50-some gems on the ground. They will go away right now. Unaverted trying to back away, but he's not going to be able to get the Spirit of Vengeance initially because there was a great hook from Tremor. And here's Unaverted, 300-something HP, getting healed up by the Uther Concussion Mine to try and close the distance. Dahaka, he brush stalks. He tries to go in for the drag, but Unaverted goes for the big IQ play. Big brain play with the Spirit of Vengeance over the wall to disengage. Only Gul'dan to die. But it's actually, I say only Gul'dan, but I need to clarify. It's Gul'dan and 50-plus gems that go down.
Yeah, 54.
Ooh.
Because he wanted to
Yikes.
help to clear a wave. His whole team was there. He didn't do the monster math. Uther was behind him with 6 gems. 3 were required. He had 54. He should have gone to pay.
Man.
He wanted to clear one wave a bit faster and then slowed down. That was so bad. Sorry, but it was bad.
Hey,
and
our
now
job... Sorry, go ahead.
Yeah, no, that was not good, let's say.
It's a rough go. Simplicity could look... Oh my god! Once again, the hook out of nowhere. Unaverted will be able to back away. The Gorge was off a cooldown, but either the distance wasn't closed for the Gorge or the cleanse was still active on to Unaverted, but another hook goes out, not connecting. For anyone wondering why so many hooks are coming out, you got to keep in mind that you do have the level 13 meat hook, which is going to be a cooldown reduction. Oh, nope, sorry, that's going to be the serrated edge, I believe, is the cooldown reduction. Yes, sorry, it's the level 7, my apologies. That gives you a few seconds off of your hook when you land it.
4 seconds when you land it, pretty sweet. Only if you hit an enemy hero. The turn-in finally does come in for Simplicity. They still have about 25 gems or so in the bank after that, but they can't pay back-to-back. WildHeart playing this real safe, just playing off of hooks, clearing everything for free. All this is a deep push.
Yep.
Almost no structural damage.
It is a way to buy time and start to get a little more experience towards that 16 talent tier gap that has formed. It's actually nearly a 2-level gap in favor for WildHeart, and these hooks are look at the map right now. Look at the mini map.
Yeah.
Look at the positioning of Simplicity, and look at the positioning of WildHeart. Tremor's in place, Mason Blaze is in place, Weary Day right around the corner, Zergling as well. Like they're not clustered around the Stitches, but they're kind of floating around him. Almost they're orbiting, if you will, if you use some space terms here. And I like this. And when you look at Simplicity on the map, they are a lot more clustered up. They're running almost death ball-ish, but it's a defensive death ball because if one gets hooked, they all need to rush in to save. And we have another turn. Do you want to get WildHeart comms going here?
Great idea, let's go.
In we go.
Cheeky play. I'm behind you. Okay, yeah.
I'm not even grabbing the gems. I'm just gonna go.
Okay.
Mid.
Clear this wave, not me. I'm not showing.
Yep.
Ever.
Yep.
You guys show by yourselves.
Can you go top, Slug?
Watch my hook on the wall.
Be careful. They're all Mia right now. They're gonna look for something
What's
big
your-
right now.
You don't know where we are.
I guess
We're
we're
not
not
showing.
this wall after.
Do
Those
it
ones.
Okay, yeah, I can. I need the tower.
Watch the fear into the.
Oh.
Right.
Blaze is going bot. We should step up for this.
Slug's getting top for free. We just get
Yeah,
like
yeah.
mid
Top's
top
gone, but I want to get some of this here.
Yep.
I was looking
Tracer.
too.
He could be below us. Always see him.
We
He's
deal
flanking,
you.
he's flanking.
I have Rip Tire for
Yeah,
yourself.
gang.
Wait, fancy.
I'm in trouble. Brandon's
I have
on
ice
me.
on
I have
Legacy.
shield. I'm standing still.
Turn out.
I'm putting up their backline.
Play off.
I need help. I need help. Fuck, I'm dead. Alright, Rose,
Turn off shots,
my bad.
maybe.
Maska? Nice trade.
We just
I'm hooking
bad.
5.
There are
off,
still
back
things alive. We can look.
Yeah, I
have
do.
traps in.
I have
two?
ID.
Okay, just keep.
Don't take the towers too much. Yep.
Remember you can hook through Wells Trem.
Yeah. Look at Legacy.
Okay. Be careful. They're looking
Yeah,
now.
And he's
I'm fine.
gonna be trapped.
I don't have.
I think we just walk away. I'll
Yeah,
have dig
I'm
around
here.
time I have no essence.
Just play off. Fuck yeah, we're chilling.
We're so ahead. Don't end.
Looking for
We're
it.
so ahead.
Yeah.
Can we just do bottom?
You literally do
Can
nothing.
you put
Yeah, we
trap
can do
here?
bottom.
I can do buck camp pretty quickly.
Yeah, just you play off the traps.
I like that we got to hear there. By the way, Trem, you can hook through wells, and he just immediately goes for the hook through the well. I like that. That was just a nice little update right there.
Definitely something they're trying to remind each other of now and then, since that's a new mechanic since the Falcons turned invincible. Their life is now tied to the fort, and their health has been embedded in the fort.
Yeah, it's a nice little kind of what we heard in their comms, and also as we were getting out of the comms, Grubby, I think the biggest thing to take away is that WildHeart knows they're ahead. WildHeart knows that they can throw and lose this game. Albeit, yes, all their structures, almost all their gates are still up on the side of WildHeart, but things can very dramatically shift, and Siege could really come out from Simplicity. And I just like that WildHeart has the mental kind of reminder, or at least someone's. I saw that hook too on Unaverted. Good Vault of the Warden, but it just I like that they're all kind of reminding each other of these things, and it's very synergistic in the comms that we're hearing.
Yeah, exactly. And, you know, they can play a real patient game. The Haka was a great choice. He's applying that side lane pressure and not playing it riskily either. Slug Hunter pushes a wave, stays in the bush. Classic good solo lane awareness and safety play. Number one job after deep push is to not die, and Slug Hunter's doing a great job of that. So it's a very leisurely game for WildHeart. Slug Hunter has his Z available. Go hook. Every now and then they've got the level lead, the structural lead. This should be a comfortable win here for WildHeart. Will be very difficult for Simplicity to make anything happen here at this point. It's a cool, strong draft. I think very good at straight up fights, and WildHeart somehow beat it. It's pretty sick because we feel that strength of that WildHeart draft and of the Simplicity draft, but WildHeart is just wrecking it from level 1 onwards. They've come to play.
Well, Simplicity is showing up with some web weavers right now. These might be more defensive, as I had mentioned beforehand. The waves are pushed back quite a bit, and there's no 20 talent here. So I think WildHeart clears these in lanes. The trade might be into boss and top, unless WildHeart, they're going to go for it. They're going to go for the crazy play into top. There's the danger ping. Tremor did show in the rotation out of this, so he's looking for some sort of hook gorge over the wall with that extended range from the level 13. Mason Blaze gets a quick keep through mid to allow consistent catapult pressure through that lane. Boss now approaching core below 50%, should scratch the shielding, and that's about it. And the web weavers, what are they going to find on the map? Not much. Maybe
about a wall or so.
Yeah.
I think 30k would have gone core in that moment. WildHeart
if they were WildHeart, right? Not if they were Simplicity.
Exactly. No, that's crazy. That's crazy talk.
I do also want to point out... please.
Yeah, if they're WildHeart. But WildHeart is just playing it safe. Their boss was mostly like a web weaver denial. And the rest of mid-keep. It was very, very tame, taking advantage of the situation here for WildHeart. They're going to continue playing off of hooks. Now, Baha, how do you think it's going to get on when Simplicity gets 20? You think that's going to be enough to carve out their space on the map?
Double Vault of the Warden, you're going to be seeing the Bulwark of Light for the Uther I'm expecting. Stukov with the... hold on. There's going to be a cleanse mid-hook. Mene getting very low. There's going to also be a Lurking Arm out from Legacy. Massive Shove will not connect. Wailing Arrow does go out. There's a hook onto Unaverted, bopped back into the wall by the Riptire. Divine Shield will be used. Masquerade's the target for the hook. We do have a very low Uther within the bunker. He does go down. No 20 talents here. Horrify was used. Mene very low. There is going to be a Lurking Arm, but the Concussion Mine sets up the kill. The Nexus forces actually steal the kill onto the Gul'dan as the Uther Ghost will expire. This is Unaverted going down. A hook goes out. That hook actually killed the Blaze, and he just drops down. But with 5 members of Simplicity falling, it is WildHeart to rush to core, and they will be taking map number 1 in our second best of 5 of the day in our upper bracket. Now, as a reminder for anyone that's like, oh no, Simplicity, they've lost it all. It's a 5-game series. It's a best of 5 series. And if you lose this, you drop into the lower bracket and you go up against Storm Esports tomorrow morning. The winner of this series goes up against 30k in our second best of 5 of the day tomorrow. But we got a long road until then. GG's over the side of WildHeart. I gotta say, Grubby, I don't know if surgical is the name for this, but they have definitely picked apart the members of Simplicity. While there were so many good defensive tools, double support, divine shield, cleanses, massive shoves, it wasn't enough for the titanic force of Tremor Stitches. And realistically, that is the MVP for me. I got to get Justin back in here to break down more of what happened on Tomb of the Spider Queen.
Yeah, either Tremor or Junkrat, played by Zergling, would be my MVP. I'd slightly give it to Tremor. He really popped off, and the synergy and coordination between Junkrat and Stitches with Tremor and Zergling was really, really good. It was some of the best combos between those two heroes that we've seen yet. There was the first turn-in where they're mid, and the Junkrat trap, the Junkrat boops the hero in for Stitches to hook him off of it. Just really clean combos coming out between them. Even the first blood they got was off of the back of a Junkrat trap already put under their fort, and Stitches hooked them into the trap. And it's not moving traps at that point, it's just a trap sitting there just on the floor under the tower. They were expecting that, they hit the hook into it and get the first blood onto the blaze. So just from start to finish, WildHeart just looked like the better team. I would be, if I was a huge Simplicity fan here, I would be not too happy with this first game. I think that they had, in my opinion, by far the better draft, but it is a weird draft, and it makes things a little bit even worse, I'd say, for Simplicity going forward. The fact that it appeared that WildHeart knew that that's what they were looking for. They banned away the Vala, and they may have had some inside scrim info from playing against each other, potentially. And if this is what you're bringing to this game 1 of the series, it shows that this is kind of most likely their favorite playstyle. This is what they think the strongest way to play the game is. And their composition, they pretty much got every single thing that they could possibly want with a double support composition, and they just got completely dismantled by WildHeart. WildHeart gave them what they wanted and just destroyed them with them having what is basically an S tier double support composition. The story of the game really felt like Tremor just getting hooks onto Masquerade in the early game to get them an advantage. Masquerade on the Uther was just taking a little bit too much hooks, but at the same time, Unaverted on the Maiev, he wasn't really engaging fights early game because they never really grouped up as much as they should be. You had Mene through most of the early game just 1v1ing top, just sitting in that top lane, but when you have a double support composition like this, you need your Gul'dan, you need your hypercarry, you need to be rotating as a 4-man, as a 5-man unit, and they weren't really doing that. They were playing like a 1-3-1, just waiting to get picked off by the side of WildHeart. And even when they did fight, it felt really disjointed. A lot of the time you had Unaverted on the Maiev being forced into almost like 1v1s inside the cage against someone from WildHeart. Weryday was always saving them. He was always playing safe enough and far enough back that they could never engage onto him. And pretty much every team fight, it looked like Simplicity was just super disjointed, and WildHeart was perfectly coordinated. They were comboing everything with each other. And if Simplicity can lose to WildHeart that badly with that draft, I'm pretty worried going forward for the rest of the series, because they didn't even lose a single wall on the side of WildHeart. They had their entire base, everything was available for them when they ended that game. And Gul'dan, Mene getting hooked, losing the 54 gems was really the breaking point, where it was almost doomed at that point. All of Simplicity's turn-ins after that were mostly just wasted just to buy time. They don't get the level 20s in time, and they lose the fight down level 20s. Just perfectly played by WildHeart, and honestly, just poorly played by Simplicity for a double support composition with an S tier draft for double support. It looked like they didn't really know how to play the comp.
Well, WildHeart dismantling, I think you put it perfectly, the entire draft of Simplicity on Tomb of the Spider Queen. It was just extremely well played from both sides. I do think Simplicity had some shining moments. It just, WildHeart, these hooks, they were so detrimental. The Junkrat displacement as well. I agree with you that there is a very, very close call between MVPs, between Zergling on that Junkrat and Tremor on that Stitches. But we're ready to go into our second map in this second best of 5 of the day, and I can let you all know where we're going to be going. It is once again Stormpike Vandar versus Drekthar, as Simplicity has chosen to take us to Alterac Pass. Now, of course, stats for all of you at home on these maps for both the teams. Simplicity, they've played this map 5 times. They are 4-1, 4 wins, 1 loss. When we look over at the side of WildHeart, they've played this map once in Season 3, and it's a singular loss. So, as we said in the last series, a lot more data on the side of Simplicity for WildHeart to pull from, since there's 5 maps to kind of go back and watch. Whereas WildHeart, they've played this map once, and outside of scrims, that's the only public data that Simplicity can pull from to maybe get some ideas of what WildHeart will play here. But as I said, we've also had a lot of time between these teams, and when we were in the ladder bracket, and we had some time off during the holiday season. So WildHeart could definitely evolve this map, so could Simplicity. But as we get into this, I got to get your thoughts here, Grubby, on what maybe you're expecting from either side.
Hard to say. Like you said, we don't have much information here for WildHeart, and Simplicity is going to be basing their maybe game plan off of what they do or don't expect. What we can see is that the Nubarak that Simplicity has been first picking in many of their series over the course of the game is going to get banned out for WildHeart. So they're going to remove Masquerade's preferred go-to pick. No healer bans yet, no regular Johanna ban yet. Most likely we won't see that at all, so that both teams can get either one of those. I would imagine then that WildHeart, according to the expected lines, would now go Rhaegar, and then that Johanna would go to Simplicity, probably with Stukov. But it's going to be Johanna first for WildHeart.
Okay, I do like the WildHeart side pickup with the Johanna here, and I mean, Justin, you've said, oh, got level 13, I got my level 16, so I'm good to win with Johanna sort of deal, right?
Yeah, she gets the Void Slash at level 16, just like Zeratul. She gets the resets on her E talent and just starts popping off. I definitely prefer the Johanna first pick because we see now that the Stukov is going to be traded back, so they get one of the supports either way. You take the Johanna, you get the Stukov. I wouldn't be surprised to see a Hogger picked up here. That's been another just big priority pick on this map in general. And it is smart of WildHeart also to ban that Anubarak specifically against Masquerade. He is the one who kind of highlighted initially at the start of the season just how strong that is on this map. Masquerade was the player who sort of made that a thing. Just using the Anubarak to stall out the objective, to sneak the objective. So good on them for that. They do actually go for the Lucio instead of the Stukov, so a bit of a different composition coming out from the side of WildHeart. They're still remaining very flexible. It almost makes me wonder if they would be looking to go into something like an Abathur comp down the line, because their comp is sort of set up for that right now. I don't know if they would be looking to do that, as they just won playing a fairly standard comp in such a dominant fashion. But Simplicity getting Blaze Rhaegar, that's a lot of attack speed slows, it's a lot of spell power reduction. A good opening 2 picks from Simplicity, for sure.
Dahaka ban as well. Tracer once again, it seems. Well, members of WildHeart do not want to play against any sort of Simplicity Tracer, but Grubby, we're through some bans and we're into the latter half of the draft. Gotta also get your thoughts on what's evolving or what could happen.
Well, interesting that we did see that Lucio coming out instead of Stukov. We might see, with Lucio Sylvanas, it always says this team is going to play for macro. They're going to try to kill forwards while you're busy with the objective. Then you're going to pick up 1 or 2 stallers. We could see Zagara coming out. We could see Greymane coming out for WildHeart. Tyrael is pretty cool because he's pretty fast at defense as well on the side lanes and then chasing. That's kind of neat. He turns everyone into an Illidan. But WildHeart, it seems like they're playing macro with a draft like this.
Simplicity was the one team that actually sold me on Tyrael, because throughout the Season 3 of CCL, we haven't had that many good Tyraels, but Simplicity has done pretty well with the hero, so we'll see how it all works out. But of course, Justing, it's a solo lane Johanna from the start, and it's a Diablo to come through for Tremor. We're going to have one more pick, but I got to get your thoughts on what's evolved and what's happening here on Alterac past draft.
So really strange to pick up the Chromie on the side of Simplicity and pair it with a Tyrael. The Tracer's been banned out. Tyrael Tracer has been the combo that we've seen mostly. And to pick the Tyrael without the Tracer is a little strange, especially when you're picking it with a Chromie. Chromie really needs setup, I would say, at more than pretty much any range in the entire game from her tank. You almost always need a CC tank to set up the combos from Chromie. If you're just kind of throwing them out randomly, you might even half-shot somebody, you might poke somebody out, but that on its own, it's not consistent enough, it's not reliable enough. You need kind of a whole combo based around her combo. You need CC to set it up. It's just going to be random damage coming out most likely. So the side of Simplicity, with the Zagara, they're kind of doubling down on just permanent stall. Most likely they're looking to pretty much stall out the first objective indefinitely. That looks to be kind of their plan. They have Zagara and they have Chromie, who can both stand on the other side of the wall in their mid fort and just kind of chuck stuff over the wall to stall. They also have Blaze Oil. So theoretically, Simplicity could basically stall out the first objective forever. If they're able to leave those heroes around mid, they could stall out the first objective indefinitely. We'll see what WildHeart does with that in mind. They do have Sylvanas, so they can kind of split push. Diablo should be fairly invincible in team fights. There's no CC for the Chromie. WildHeart's comp, I still think looks just a little bit better.
Well, thank you, Justing, for the breakdown as always, and we'll go ahead and see you after Alterac Pass, because we are loaded on in. And over on the side of our alliance, we will be seeing Simplicity, and over in the red, in the Hordish, or backed by our Hordish friend Drekthar, we will be seeing WildHeart Esports. As we get into our mid lane engagement here, Grubby, I'm skimming through some of the talents of anything of note, not really seeing anything major. I gotta get your thoughts, because I'm leaning onto WildHeart for this win, and I gotta get your thoughts here on the best race for Warcraft 3.
Orc, of course.
Good.
Orc is the coolest. So I think Elf is probably best right now. Yeah, I think Elf's pretty good. Elf won a lot of games today in another tournament in the W3 champs. But I was admiring that lumber chopping Orc all the way at the core of the red camp. There's like a Orc constantly chopping a tree and he never quite gets it down. His own little special hell. But okay, let's look at the draft. So with Lucio Sylvanas, I thought, hey, that's going to be a side push team. Now with Diablo Hanzo, it's much more team fight oriented. I think WildHeart's draft is pretty flexible at doing a number of different things. And I think it's just a normal, really good balanced comp. I'm equally confused as Justin and you probably about Tyrael Chromie. Reminds me a lot of Chili Mountain's early drafts where they kept going for like Tyrael and Raynor together. Just doesn't feel like it makes a lot of sense, and that one still feels like it makes more sense than Tyrael Chromie. I mean, her level 5 talent, Proper Greeting, does give her good auto attack damage, but her range says that she's not going to be in Smite as often to get that bonus attack speed from the level 7 Tyrael Smite, and it makes me wonder how they work together. We'll say this though, this is a stalling comp supreme from Simplicity. And their win condition, believe it or not, is Mene. Zagara on the side lane, that's their win condition. That's the plan. Chromie Blaze, Tyrael, they're going to buy time. Rhaegar will bring up the rear. Zagara will side push. And funnily enough, Mene can't have too much experience in the solo lane into a Johanna. Normally, it's not Johanna in the solo lane. And Johanna's little blind damages from the double, actually not too bad. Because Zagara doesn't have any self-sustain. He's already forced to port once so far in this game. And normally don't need to... Oh, hello, Weary Day. Going in there with the kill. Nice kill by WildHeart. He's already been forced to port once and... Good job, Johanna.
Masquerade 50 HP. Haunting Wave does not connect. Oh my god.
Would you have gone in?
Me? Yeah, but I'm bad at the game, so there's that.
I mean, he could have gone in, he could probably Black Arrow the fort, he would get the kill, but then you gotta ask yourself, did you look in your rear view mirror recently, aka the minimap? Is it safe? And maybe Simplicity will be barreling down and get the return kill on that war.
Rhaegars may appear closer in your mirror than they appear, so but it is Zagara floating around in top lane, and we do have Liam doing a great job. Excuse me, not Liam, that was the last series, my apologies. Slug Hunter is clearing things out and just holding that lane, doing a good job. I wonder if we actually get the... I'm blanking on the name of the talent because they're all so different, but basically... So, alright, Grubby has to... Either way, we're going to be continuing to see what's going to be happening on the map. So it is going to be 7 talent tiers approaching for both sides in just a second here. We have 8 out of the 20 stacks for the Hanzo on his simple geometry, and we will... Actually, we have 7 talent tier approaching quicker for the side of Simplicity, but this is going to be a clear through mid lane. Faster null camp in favor for the side of Simplicity. But as we've talked about in previous weeks, this allows WildHeart to easily clear out this camp right in front of their gate, and now WildHeart has their own camp to push in. Objective phase is up, as I had mentioned. 30 seconds of channel time necessary for either team, and you only have 2 jailers spawning during this first objective phase. As they scale, or as we get more and more, the second one is 40 seconds with 3 jailers, and the third one and onward is 50 seconds of channel time with 4 jailers around to kind of defend. So a little bit of scaling to make it a little more difficult for the... it's a little more difficult for the later game, but Grubby, gotta get your thoughts here on just what's happening as we have a lot of back and forth in the mid engagement.
Yeah, WildHeart still just sitting on that single first kill. Mene still in the top lane. That's the plan here, Mene. He's got 1 tower down already, and you know, Simplicity, they just have to keep buying time. They neither want to necessarily get the objective, they don't need to, they don't want to lose it. They want Zagara to kill forts, but every time and again, Slug Hunter is there. He does a blind to delay Mene's back. He's forced her back once again, out of health, out of mana. Looks like Masquerade will go down here. This is the kind of thing where Lucio and Tyrael have this battle of mobility, but Tyrael's is conditional and Lucio's is always there. Another chase skill, and now we see why WildHeart has that Lucio instead of the Stukov. They can play a more rapid, reactionary game plan than what Stukov could, who is more teamfight oriented. Lucio has more macro chase.
I like what WildHeart has drafted here. It's really good aggression, really good distance closing as well. Mason Blaze will grab the null pack for the mid lane, throwing that Haunting Wave really quickly. I'm assuming Mason Blaze will need to Hearth back for full mana, or no, they're just going to rush in because damage is still available, and Mason Blaze wants to try and deep pressure this mid lane, might actually have his black arrows available as well. And once again, this is going to be the null pack cleared out and getting 0 value with the null pack of WildHeart now pushing into lane, but it's 10 talent tiers, Grubby, and could you break down what we're seeing and not seeing as well?
We see Dragon's Arrow into APOC, into Wailing Arrow, into Falling Sword as a possible combo here. Weary Day coming in, getting that Sound Wave on Pants. Turnaround on Zergling. He's looking for a jump away point. At that moment, that very moment, in comes the Jet Propulsion. It was a good timing, but Zergling wisely held his jump so it doesn't get interrupted by Propulsion. He then used it to get away, but it was necessary for Weary Day to burn Sound Barrier. Sound Barrier, yep, not the high five that we often see. He's going for the big AoE protection. Rather than saving people from literally no CC at all from Tyrael, he's giving everyone a big shield coming in. And that shows that this is an AoE fight that WildHeart is looking for generally with all those heroics. Sound Barrier, still a really, really good ult, despite the high five's prevalence.
Zergling trying to back away. Great arrow from Zergling. The Ancestor Healing will come out, and Masquerade will be able to receive it. Apocalypse will be utilized. There's going to be a time stop from the Chromie. Bunker comes down from Fancy Pants trying to stall out the fight. Slowing Sands will slow down Tremor, but this Diablo, he is A-okay. He's got that Soul Shield at level 1, Full Souls, Fire Stomp build. A few heroics to be used from both sides as Mene and Leah, I keep doing that from earlier today, I don't know why, Slug Hunter are going to be still brawling out in the top lane. First objective, I have to point out, we still are in our first objective phase. 30 seconds of channel time still necessary for Simplicity. 24 more seconds from WildHeart. And it seems to me, as I'm looking around the map, that maybe the investment is into 13s before we get into our next objective phase brawl, with Hanzo playing safe in bottom lane. Doesn't want to get dove on by the enemy like last time.
Exactly, gotta watch out for that. Sonic Arrow fails to interrupt. Legacy channeling that objective. It's a few seconds every time for either team. So, actually, Blaze is a super good pick here as well with that ongoing oil fire. 20 versus 24 seconds. Game goes on. Level 12 apiece. Mena unable to really do what he's done in many of these games. Remember how often we've said how much value he's getting on the side lane. He's actually joining now because he just wasn't able to break through Johanna. He joins a little bit before Johanna. Johanna takes note of the situation, comes in as well. Nullpack pushing in. That's going to get more mid-fort damage. WildHeart is kind of getting ahead slowly.
Apocalypse just came off a cooldown. Chromie actually used her time stop already, so it's not available. And Tremor saw a great opportunity to try and play into that time stop moment. Unfortunately, Tremor wasn't able to set up any sort of kill because the bunker came down from the Blaze. So we have Sound Barrier and the Apocalypse available, Slowing Sands, Sanctification, Devouring Maw, and Ancestor Healing. So a lot more tools to the side of Simplicity as Mene is going to get chased. The push-off, heavy casters from level 13, but there's a Devouring Maw into Lucio. Sound Barrier available. Will he be able to get it out of this? Nope. He's going down.
First kill for Simplicity. Mena there with the nicely timed Devouring Maw on Lucio. That creates not just experience, but a window for Simplicity to exploit and engineer their comeback. Chromie going in there with that channel. We have Sonic Arrows. We have Shield Glares coming in. There's a Haunting Wave. Should be another Shield Glare from Johanna. Ah, it's too late. It's too late. Oh no, the mistiming here by Johanna, by Slug Hunter. Doesn't get the interrupt on time. And more seconds will take. I feel like that actually was super fateful, that late Shield Glare.
That worked out perfectly. I wish I was actually looking at the Johanna cooldowns. It might have just come off a cooldown, or it was just trying to min-max the duration at which Chromie had channeled it, etc. But it doesn't matter, because the first objective goes over the side of Simplicity. Yes, first objective, almost 10 minutes into the game, nearing 16 talent tier. We got 2 levels to go on both sides, and Simplicity will start pushing in here. Do you want to get in some Simplicity comms while they have this objective?
Yeah, let's hear from them, I think for the first time today, right?
Yep, let's get into it.
They're still holding the caps.
Missing Hanzo, careful arrow maybe. They might try something.
For bottom? You see 3 mid.
Tell me they go bot, please. I will demolish him. Okay.
You mid?
No, we're
Arrow,
on mid.
arrow, arrow.
I'm good, I'm good, I'm good.
Okay,
Don't worry.
cleanse down.
No.
Diablo's coming bot, it looks like. Yeah, Sylph's coming bot as well. I'm here with
Get
you.
it, I think.
Can we do something or what?
Still clearing mid. I'm coming. I'll just.
No.
I just want to clear. Like the siege is gonna do
That's
damage.
fine. Yeah,
I
we
think
get this. We get this eventually after. I'm
I
just
mostly
gonna
just
camp.
116.
Yeah. Our slow push, we get it.
Okay, they're still bot, actually. They're rushing bot. Maybe they're looking for boss, yeah, I don't know.
It's okay. So let them start it. I want to speed up the camp.
They're
They're
passing
pushing,
bot.
pushing.
I vision.
I can go.
Yeah,
Don't
we'll
let
come
them,
back.
by the way.
Don't see Joe, don't see Joe. She's up, so.
Can
He's
go,
up,
though.
he's up.
Go.
I'm almost done with camp.
Reinforce.
No, we're just under. We're just under our building.
Okay.
It was a good sword. That's all I was saying.
We have camp prio. We can look for bot fort.
I mean, do we need 5 for that?
It's okay.
Okay.
Yeah, they're just trying to have Joe clear it.
I think
They
we
give
can
it, they
rip
give
you
it,
up
I
to
think.
mid.
Yeah,
got
it.
just
Yeah,
kill mid, I guess.
Yep.
We force her out.
GG. They're not on camp. They're 5 here.
Still on him.
Stunning him.
Big damage on Hanzo.
No, that's
One's
good.
on you.
I'm more.
Good,
It's a
good.
signal.
I can tank it.
I can't do anything. I can't do anything.
Never
No,
mind.
no, good job.
Yeah, it's fine. Chill, we win through time.
He's allowed, he's
Yeah.
allowed.
That's arrow down.
Just relax.
Our
Okay,
camp's
lawyer.
30.
We might.
Remember, we poked them with 16.
Yeah.
They're trying to do camp now.
I'll pop the globe and pop in the
I mean, we
globe
can
here.
pressure them, you know.
Yeah, we push while they're on camp.
I can
for
go,
stunning
yeah.
him.
Stunning him. Oh.
I can tank. Huge. Massive, San Diablo.
You stay? Yeah.
It might be bad. Start running, I think. I'm stunning him.
I'm still on Diablo. Yeah, okay, nice.
Nice.
I need help. Okay.
No, we good. Finish the
We're
shit.
good, we're good. Finish for it.
I'm low mana, I'm
This is
running
on.
low mana.
Okay.
Yeah,
Joe,
no,
Joe is one. Joe's one.
Can we
Yeah,
click? Can we click? Oh no, Diablo is
Yeah.
back. Maybe we click.
Yeah.
I just want to
Take
clear
it.
mid.
They're bottom. They're bottom.
Wait,
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, I don't want to get full time. I don't think we're.
Yeah, I think.
Yeah,
We have to do that now.
Small time.
Yeah, I've tapped innate.
As soon as they walk towards us, we leave.
Let me...
Okay.
So much that we heard in those comms, Grubby, about excitement and aggression, but the biggest thing is that kill onto Tremor right there. That was a good reset onto Diablo Souls. Good communication in the moment when they could find that kill.
Yeah, and I'm impressed at how well this composition is working for Simplicity. This Zagara Chromi, not something I would ever put together, but they seem to be doing good. Under enemy fort, in a straight up 5-on-5, they were able to force a kill. Yike. Wow, that was some big scatter arrows, and in fact, that's Giant Slayer. That's big burst circling, getting some good damage, but that was set up really nicely by Weary Day and Tremor.
Yeah.
So, like Weary Day, the Weary Day factor, the fact that we've got a Lucio here, he's setting up a lot of kills. That's really helping WildHeart get kills that otherwise they would not be able to.
And this is a quick rotation to bottom lane from Legacy and Masquerade. Mene joins in as well. I was like, there's not a lot of damage between these two. I mean, they can do it definitely between Masquerade and Legacy, but it'll be a little bit of time. So, bosses to be traded. Bottom boss will go to keep, top boss will go to a fort. But keep in mind, the Drekthar generals will be summoning into lane right now, and that cavalry is on its way. We do have that mid lane null pack pushing in as well. Bottom lane being pushed up by Mene and Unaverted. Unaverted full hearthing Mene as well to start defending, but some decent pressure through these lanes as the bosses arrive through bottom and the null pack through the mid.
3 forts were down already in favor of Simplicity. Now it's the red generals coming out here. The raiders charging down the lanes with a boss as well. Full HP no less because of the black arrows from WildHeart's circling Sylvanas. And WildHeart is coming back into this. For a moment I thought Simplicity's winning big time, but this is a scary push. Vance comes in. Oh, nice block there on the Shadow Charge. And the Giant Slayer using a jet propulsion into a bunker. Really, really good play. Bit of keep damage. How about the other side? Bit of keep damage as well.
So bottom lane just now coming out, the Horde Cavalry pushing into mid and bottom still. Joanna just going to grab that experience, and it's looking like WildHeart wants to equalize on the map, finding 3 potential forts, mid lane being cleared out. Yeah, okay, so WildHeart equalizes on the map. Parity has been found, but with the late game experience coming in, this is going to be a slight experience advantage and the talent tier advantage to WildHeart, as they should have 20s in just a moment.
Level 20 is about 10 seconds away for WildHeart once they get about a tower and a wave or so. A little bit too far for simplicity, too far for comfort. Mana is still showing top. So they know no Devouring Maw is going to be coming in. They try to take down that tower, don't even need it. Level 20 is here. What's next? In Storm League? Absolutely, it's a Storm League invade by WildHeart here. Like a null pack.
Yeah.
Invade, I wanted to say, by WildHeart. That's what happens in Storm League, and then you die for it, and then you're like, all this for a camp? But they're playing it safe. They're going back. The window to 20 is too small for simplicity, and it's pretty much evened out. Small little lead for WildHeart in terms of top keep damage. And because there's no objective or boss, we're getting to like a kind of a slower moment of the game. 2.5 minutes until the bosses are out. Any fight that breaks out now is because both teams want it. Right? It's very hard to create opportunities when there's no objectives on the map.
And realistically, as you look at the level 20s coming through for both sides, you don't want to really take a fight on either side. I don't see a world where WildHeart wants to initiate into the upgraded Sanctification, Farseer's Blessing, just the damage output from Zagara with her upgrade onto the Hunter Killers with the Corrosive Saliva, the Hydraless Transformation, or Transfusion, and also just the Packed Instinct at level 20, extra upgraded Bunker, Piercing Sands from Chromie. But on the opposing side, you have the upgrade on Falling Sword. You've got Hellgate from Diablo. Hanzo went into Bullseye, so you have that faster traveling Sonic Arrow, but it also has a 1-second stun. You land that stun, you get a heavy caster push off from Weary Day, Hellgate from Tremor. It's looking like a single target deletion potential, but we have to get to that point. I do like the defensive pickup from Mason Blaze, basically the Bolt of the Storm, to be able to get away from a sticky situation with Blaze diving in, Tyrael trying to chase onto you, slows from the Rhaegar. A lot to be digested here, but the objective phase is up. We have these jailers defending, Zergling, Weary Day going for the channel. 50 seconds of channel time necessary for WildHeart to summon another Horde Cavalry, but it's going to be stalled out for now at 45 seconds.
And these moments are so exciting because one kill can just be the beginning of the end here. And you look at someone like Tyrael, someone like Masquerade, you're going to be thinking about perfect ways to get Sanctifications out, but there are so many interrupts. Soundwave, Falling Sword, Condemn, Dragon Arrow, Sonic Arrow, Apocalypse, Shadow Charge, Overpower, Wailing Arrow. That's the interrupts that's there on Sanctification, which is pretty mad. But when used well, it can block all of those and more. And that would just be win condition for simplicity. So much comes down to Weary Day for the interrupt. Maybe he's one of the fastest to be able to stop a Tyrael. He's going to be looking out for that. So much comes down to Masquerade as well with that Sanct.
Time stop onto Slug Hunter with the time trap from Chromie. Hanzo rips an arrow. It's going to narrowly miss a few enemies of Simplicity. Jet Propulsion from Blaze. Seemed like it actually got stalled out or something like that. I don't know if it actually made the connection, but the Hellgate forward. Tremor trying to close the distance. There's going to be an Apocalypse utilized as well. Sanctification will come out from Tyrael, I do believe. Yes, it is going to be on cooldown. Devouring Maw onto Diablo. We do have a bit of a split fight right now. Weary Day trying to back away. Sound Barrier on a 70-second cooldown. He did not go for the 20 upgrade. Weary Day, you got to be careful of that positioning because the snipe of the Echo is going to come through. Slug Hunter trying to back away will fall. It's a double kill to the side of Simplicity. Boss is available through bottom lane. Objective phase needs 8.2 seconds of channel time. We should see Blaze tap the boss to make sure it doesn't leash. Mid lane does have the null pack that many will deal with, but still, that's a huge win for the side of Simplicity. WildHeart, 3 members, need to make a tough decision. Turtle up and defend, or take a risky fight.
Yeah, I can't believe this is working as well as it's working. Simplicity really owned that fight the way they did that. Bunker Sanctification had a little bit of overlap, but at the very least, if Sanct gets interrupted, you've got the Bunker right next to there. I think those layers of protection aren't too bad. You can leave the Bunker with complete safety into a Sanct. And then that single target Maul on Diablo, pretty neat as well. My MVP moment of that fight was hitting freaking Lucio with a echo of Dragon Blast, of that Sand Blast. And of course, everything he did to Lucio before that, he got some good damage on him. Lucio was trying to run away. With his tail between his legs, Simplicity now pushing in with Boss, with the generals. All defense of WildHeart is in the bottom lane. That means they're probably gonna lose about 2 keeps at least, maybe 3, as they're just trying to save their core at this point. It's a very nitty-gritty moment here. Double combo attempt on Tyrael fails. He uses his sword to get away.
Masquerade able to blink away with the Aldruin's might. The boss through the bottom lane has approached core. Big arrow from Hanzo. Apocalypse to follow up. Falling Sword will be coming through. That is a lot of damage. Chromie goes down. Masquerade is going to be able to jump into the bunker. A Devouring Maul comes through. Big Jet Repulsion to follow up as well. But where's the damage? Where is enough damage to actually find a kill? None has been found. Fancy Pants is left to die on his own, quite literally, as Drekthar will, as Grubby had mentioned in the previous Alterac pass, self-heal now that he's not taking damage, no longer threatened. But that is 2 keeps down, often the win condition case for the end of a game. Zergling and the entire WildHeart crew are showing in this. This is a very telegraphed rotation. Like, you look at minimap and you see that they're just rushing to boss. But what can Simplicity really do? They're going to grab themselves a null camp. I don't see a world where they try and steal the boss away, because there's no holy ground from Tyrael. He didn't even go into that.
Yeah, I mean, it's telegraphed, like you said, but they might as well like shout it over the school intercom, a fight after school time at the bike racks, because that's exactly what WildHeart wants here. Come and contest us, 3v5, be our guest, put our boss fight to the test. Simplicity, you know, they lost those 2 members, not even using ancestral healing. They were really just trying to save themselves from a throw there, saving as many members as they could. Probably the right call. Everyone's back now. Masquerade gets Shadow Charged, overpower. Shadow Charge, sword, gets away. No wailing, no wailing. Arrow?
Wailing should be
Ancestral?
right here. Wailing just came off a cooldown. Ancestral healing with the Farseer's Blessing will be triggered. So the, man, that Wailing arrow was like, when you called for it, I looked up and it was on a 1-second cooldown. If that Wailing arrow had been off cooldown, I feel like they actually could have landed that kill, but unfortunately it's not the case. Slug Hunter will need to clear core. Prison locations are opening up here. It's getting tense on the side of WildHeart. Simplicity just need to make they just need to make slow plays, because Simplicity are in the driver's seat of this map number 2.
Yeah, my, even saving that keep on 1007 health.
Wow.
Quite impressive. If half of those heroics from WildHeart just targeted literally the keep, they could have, well, not that arrow can, but they were very close to killing it.
Yeah.
Sadly for them, they didn't get it. No counter catapult pressure.
So we have Diablo initiating the fight. That's a good Sonic Arrow to stun Masquerade. Falling Sword with the Heaven's Fury as well for cooldown reduction, 20 seconds. On the right-hand side, the Jailers will get the camp channel at 26 seconds left to go, so about halfway through. Some Scatter Arrows coming out from Hanzo as well. Danger Pings arriving, and I believe that's from the Simplicity side. Hanzo rips an arrow, but the Overpower Shadow Charge will kinda anti-synergize. Hellgate is forced from Tremor, more of a disengage tool than anything else, and for anyone wondering, Hellgate is a 100-second cooldown.
Long cooldown that Diablo now cannot use. Nice resource expenditure that Simplicity also kind of forced there in that engagement. They themselves are getting Ancestral Healing back in 8 seconds. Counter on the objective, 40 seconds. Simplicity starting to inch out into the middle of the map. That's a big Johanna engage there. Dragon Arrow not available yet. Ancestral Healing coming in on Blaze. Does it still proc? Yes, it does. There's the Sanct. Everyone on Diablo. Tremor can't get away. Everyone is sanctified. They cannot be Shadow Charged to get away. That's 1 kill down for Simplicity. Tyrael with the engage. Jet Propulsion around the corner misses. Still a chance for WildHeart. 4v5, but still a chance.
Diablo did lose souls. That's why you're seeing him back on the map, but still, in the bottom lane, Drekthar was defending. There's constant Reaver minions coming up in this lane, with a periodic Reaver minion being spawned on the Horde side. This is due to the fact that there is, well, a keep in bottom lane. For Simplicity, no keep available to the side of WildHeart. But since the fort's down, that spawns that periodic Reaver. For anyone wondering what a Reaver is, it is basically the catapult unit on this map. It doesn't deal increased damage to structures by any means. What it does have is a 50 physical and spell armor, so that Reaver minion can tank a lot of damage and just push these lanes up. It's a very good siege tool, unique to this map. Unique to, actually, this is the only unique catapult type hero we have in Heroes of the Storm. We used to have that kind of crazy, interesting catapult thing on Hanamura when you couldn't attack the core ages ago, when there was like the giant Genji in the middle of the map that would eat you halfway through the fight, and then you would be the damage, and then you'd have a tank that would die because there's no damage. Yeah, good times on that map. But here's a fight, Grubby.
Arrow actually does very little because Tremor pushes them into the arrow, so it's a short-range half-second stun arrow, not what Zergling wanted. Again, anti-synergy between Tremor and Zergling. Sadly for them, Diablo dropping way low. He looked super fragile, and it makes sense. He's clocking only 10 souls right now to his life bar. So, yeah, 26 seconds left here on the objective, 36 on the other side. Simplicity pushing in. Boss is going to defend a rather large wave without any issues since they still have the top keep. WildHeart, that is. A furious defense here, still successful. Day healing everyone up. He's got that level 16 up the frequency with the bonus auto attack range.
Man, it's just I'm looking at everything right now, and it seems like a hard spot for WildHeart. They need to make one of the best engagements in the world right now, and it's constantly into Masquerade. Every single engagement seems like it's Masquerade focused. Once again, Hellgate's forced as a defensive tool. Mason Blaze gonna check really quickly. Bolt of the Storm is off a cooldown, 70-second cooldown, but the Sylvanas had it, not forced to use it. Scatter arrows will actually be eaten by, I think, one of the Zagara minions that was summoned. She also did finish out the level 7. Oh, wait, arrow? Unfortunately not connecting right there. And the camp will be stalled back out at 20 seconds. But I want to note that Mene did finish out the level 7. He does have that extra Roachling to be summoned after hitting that 12 bile drops.
All of them doing percentage damage as well. He's sitting at near 100,000 hero damage, 25% more than anyone else in the game. Tyrael got blown up before he can use Sanctification. The Rhaegar was not in range. Legacy couldn't land the Ancestral. He's going to use it on himself now. This time it's WildHeart that gets one kill, gets a 5v4. Keep in mind, Simplicity had this situation 2 minutes ago. They were unable to really convert it into anything else. Let's see if WildHeart can do more. It would definitely feel that desperation to get more out of it, as they are down 2 keeps.
Someone needs to go back and clear core right now, because I don't know if it can clear it on its own, I will be honest. And okay, so Slug Hunter did go back. They can't channel on the side of WildHeart. This is actually really, really annoying, because we had talked about this in the draft. Chromie factor. Chromie is constantly, but now that Tremor's stepping up, they are... Actually, no, they can't. They still can't do it. Unaverted is just playing that range perfectly. Blaze comes through with a little oil slick, and 8 seconds remain on the Tyrael death timer. This has been a stupendous defense from the side of Simplicity on these delays. Fancy Pants should have a delay. Nope, not over the wall. There's a re-engage. Jet Propulsion. It's Lucio to go down 7 seconds on the sound barrier was available. Tremor runs in a straight line. All right, Falling Sword, Wailing Arrow, that's going to be a kill onto Mene. Sanctification is going to be a few seconds late. Mason Blaze very low. He's going to try and get away. Bolt of the Storm on a 50-second cooldown. There you go, ladies and gentlemen. When playing against a Chromie, do not run in a straight line. Wait, does Slug Hunter win?
It's happened to me before as well. Like, if you forget where the first one hit, you're like, I got hit. Let's start looking. I got hit again. And you embarrassingly don't remember where the next one is going to go. It's happened before. It can happen to even people that have played a lot.
I feel like that was a product of not desperation, but almost annoyance from WildHeart. Like, WildHeart kind of were okay there, and they really stepped forward to try and kill the Chromie. And yes, the Tyrael was a few seconds away. He still did make the rotation, etc. But I think there was that was spawned from frustration of Chromie keeps poking us, Chromie keeps poking us, Blaze keeps poking us. We want objective, we got the team fight, and WildHeart are the one to falter because of that over aggression.
Yeah, I think you're right, because is it really sensible to chase near mid keep as Diablo Lucio? All the way into them there? Not really. And if it's not sensible, and we know these are good players, of course you've got that guy/gal in the chat who's like, noobs. These guys are amazing players, right? So if they're doing it, I think it is emotions. I think it is pressure. I think you've hit the nail on the head. And now, in this situation, it's going to be real tough for WildHeart to hold. To be honest, I don't think it's mathematically possible to hold this attack here. Simplicity most likely looking at the equalizer. But let's see how this fight goes. That's a big move on Blaze. The bunker Ancestral, beautiful.
Devouring Maw onto Sylvanas and Hanzo. Drekthar is doing his best to spin to win, but he's not Sonya. He doesn't have Life Funnel. And ladies and gentlemen, the series is not over, or not, it's not really heading in any specific direction, because we sit 1-1. By the way, that was like a 30-minute Alterac pass map, so it was very, very hard fought between both of those teams. And I have to say, really well played from both sides. I think Mene kind of had some of the best Devouring Maws in those situations to really split the damage, split the enemies. Chromie, Unverted, did a great job, but of course, Justing, I know you've seen so much more, and you have a lot to break down for us.
Yeah, that was a very interesting game. That felt kind of unlike any other game we've seen on this map so far. The composition of Simplicity was very weird, but they did have that permanent stall, and we did see that coming into play where the objective wasn't channeled until both teams were level 14, which is way later than we usually see on this map. We saw Lucio overextending bottom, and that's kind of what set up the first objective for Simplicity. They got that pick, and then they got the objective off of that, and started snowballing a little bit, but it was a bit back and forth through the mid game. The main dynamic that was occurring there was you had Simplicity with a poke comp, where WildHeart needs to land a perfect engage to start the fight and set it up, because if they fight an extended fight with all the Zagara minions everywhere, with just all the random damage from Blaze, from everyone just coming out very slowly from Chromie, if they play a slow fight, they will automatically lose, and they knew that, so they were trying to force these engages. But they have Johanna, Diablo, not a ton of damage, especially when you go APOC to combo with the arrow. And I have to be a little bit critical of Zergling in this game. A lot of the engage weighed upon his arrows, and we didn't see quite enough good arrows that set up fights. There was the one that saved the game in mid, and that was kind of the moment where WildHeart had a chance to come back into the game. I think that's actually right here, where you had a 2-man arrow that set up the engage. This was probably their only like real clean combo, and even this one was very, very close. They still got the cleanse off onto Masquerade. Things could have went very differently had they been spaced a little bit better on the side of Simplicity. And the burden of execution in the comp is certainly on the side of WildHeart. Their comp is definitely a little bit harder to play. Simplicity just needs to not get engaged on in a bad way, and they automatically win the fight after that, whereas WildHeart needs to bring the fight to them and get these engages, and it's just a lot of pressure on Tremor on the Diablo, as well as Zergling on the Hanzo. Really well played by Unaverted, especially on the Chromie in this game, with no setup from his tanks. He had Tyrael, so not the CC tank that we normally see. He was still managed to do quite a lot of damage and to just get a lot of combos off, even with no setup at all. So really well played by Unaverted and Mene, playing the DPS for the team of Simplicity. They just slowly whittled away at WildHeart and counter-engage every single time WildHeart fails an engage. And it was nice to see them kind of skill check WildHeart's coordination and synergy after I'd praised it so much in Game 1 on Tomb. It showed that maybe with these different heroes, they don't have quite the same level of synergy that we saw before, and Simplicity was able to capitalize on that and punish it.
Simplicity equalize in our best of 5 series, and it's 1-1 in our score, just like we saw in the previous one, in the previous best of 5. It's not going to be any sort of quick 3-0s today. We're definitely in for, well, a few more games to say the least, but as always, we're going to be taking a short little break before we get into our third map. In this break, I want you to use a couple commands in chat, and I'm sorry to our moderators for all the spam. We are going to be asking you to use ! prize pool. Why? Well, you can donate towards that prize pool, push us closer to that goal of 15K, where Grubby will perform a special song that he has written, produced, all on his own on HeroesCCL, and for every 1,000 along the way, he is revealing a little bit more and more. So right now we know it's a parody song about Illidan to the tune of Moana's You're Welcome. It's as much as we know. So if we can hit 13K today, we'll find out a little bit more of that song, and I know, chat, I know we can push to that 13K mark. Second thing I want you to do in this break is hit ! awards. We are doing an award show for HeroesCCL Season 3, and we need you to vote on the nominations. All the nominations are done, and in this break, if you don't want to sit there and either watch ads or look at the timer to go down, there's also like top moments from HeroesCCL Season 3, and there's YouTube links to that exact moment of when it happened. So if you're sitting there like, what is Liam, I'm killing them all, you can click the YouTube link, find out immediately, and be like, oh yeah, that's what I'm going to be voting for. So make sure you get your votes in for the HeroesCCL Award Show. That voting is going to be closing fairly soon, so make sure you do that today or tomorrow. But either way, we're going to take that short little break. Thank you all so much for hanging out for HeroesCCL. We got more action coming at you in just a little bit here on HeroesCCL, presented by Wisdom. how do I get better at this game? How do I get as good as a CCL player?
Just give it up, Baha.
What were you thinking?
Bahamut, you're never gonna win.
The CCL players, they're really good. They're in CCL. So I just need the CCL merch to be as good as the CCL players. Oh man, there's some really cool stuff in here. But I don't have time to wait. I need my wins now. I'm gonna make my own CCL merch. That'll get me the wins that I need. Now that I have my own merch, I can win every single hero. Even with my own amazing homemade merch, I'm still not winning. I have to get the real deal. Oh yeah, oh, gotta get one of these. Gotta get one of these. It is cold outside, so we're gonna get that new season pullover. Oh yeah. Now to purchase my game-winning apparel from HeroesCCL merch. Wow, now that I have this new HeroesCCL apparel, I might as well try out and play some Heroes of the Storm games and see if I can maybe win a little few extra. Ooh.
Yes! I'm winning! We're winning!
You can win every single game you play in Heroes of the Storm with HeroesCCL Season 3 merch. Wisdom Gaming and HeroesCCL are not responsible for any Storm League points lost or given away to enemies that are better than you. Welcome back to HeroesCCL presented by Wisdom. My name's still Bahamut, still joined by Grubby and Justing. And I gotta say in that break, thank you all for pushing that prize pool a little bit further. We're nearing, oh wow, it just jumped even further. We are less than $300 away from finding out what Grubby's next little hint about his song is. And I know, chat, I know it's GDQ weekend. I know you've donated towards that, but we do have this prize pool for the players. And if you want to find out that next new hint, we are so close. So exclamation point prize pool in chat. But we are here in this best of 5 series to determine who's going to fall into the lower bracket up against Simplicity tomorrow and who will rise and continue to play tomorrow up against 30K. And this is a really fun series so far, gentlemen, and I think we can continue talking about the maps and such of this because I'm ready to find out where we're going to go to for map number 3. I want to get going into this next game because it's super, super exciting stuff. And so, as we can see right here, we are going to be seeing WildHeart, the loser of that last map, choosing map pick priority, and they will be taking us to Towers of Doom. As always, the stats for anyone at home that will want them. Simplicity, they have a record of 2-1. They've played this map 3 times, 2 wins, 1 loss. Side of WildHeart Esports, they have a map record of 5 maps, 3 wins, 2 losses. So some decent data from both teams to pull from. But Justing, Towers of Doom, this is the map where teams innovate. They pull out their wild cards. This is where we see that ace up the sleeve or the Cho'Gall or the Lost Vikings Abathur come out, or maybe even just a Sergeant Hammer that sits in bottom lane and rolls through the map. But gotta get your thoughts here, Justing, as we're loading into Towers of Doom in map 3 of this final best of 5 of the day.
Yeah, it's been neat to see both teams having a very different drafting playstyle coming into this series. We saw Simplicity in the first game going for the double support, and then in the second game going for a completely different playstyle where they're playing just full-on poke, which works really well with the objective on Alterac. With them having such good success with it and kind of skill-checking WildHeart's ability to have coordinated engages when Zergling doesn't have that Junkrat, I think it's smart of them to ban it, and I wouldn't be surprised to see them take either the Chromie or the Zagara again, just because of how well it worked for them in the last game. This is obviously not quite the same map as Alterac, but you can still kind of play a somewhat similar playstyle, just playing around the objectives, the towers, the altars that spawn here that you need to capture. It's still a little bit similar, so I could see at least part of the comp from last game from Simplicity coming in and being played here again.
Well, things like Rhaegar, Stukov, those are all available. Dahaka is a hot priority lately with the double soak potential with the enhanced agility at level 1. You can basically be 10% faster than mount speed for 5 seconds after tapping a bush because of that level 1 talent. But Simplicity, they're taking their time with this, Grubby, and they're really trying to figure out what they want to start this draft out with.
There's some pretty cool bans by them. Junkrat and Medivh. Junkrat making a Stitches pick weaker. Medivh ban making a Stitches pick weaker as well, but also achieving the goal of making a Diablo pick weaker. So Simplicity definitely looking at some trends that have come at them from WildHeart and how WildHeart has played in general. Now, Vala comes out real early.
Yeah.
Time to bring out the Vala, they say. Now you get thinking, okay, Vala often, but not always, paired up by a double support. We have seen some Vala Brightwing, which feels like very little amount of healing, but still worked out for the team that tried it when they tried it. So it doesn't necessarily mean that, but it's a possibility. So things like Uther, Stukov will be higher value for WildHeart now.
What are your thoughts, Justin? Oh, wow, that's a Stitches for the side of Simplicity. I want to get your thoughts, Justin. What's the potential on like an Ariel coming out? Because back in the day, Towers of Doom, Vala plus Ariel, that was a god tier synergy, one would say, and then displacement from Ariel is pretty strong as well. But any thoughts on that potential, or is there's just better healers overall?
It's definitely possible, specifically when you have a Vala, as Oriel did also get a little bit of a buff recently, so she's had some changes. She is a little bit stronger now than she was before, with changes to her her clap, her level 1, the thing where she, I don't remember what the actual name for it is, but they made that a little bit stronger. They buffed her level 4 talents a bit, so she's definitely pretty good here. If they ban the Stukov for Simplicity, we could potentially see that paired with an Uther if they look to go for the double support route. That is one of the rare situations where the Oriel could see some play, because the expectation here is that Simplicity bans that Stukov away. They don't, so I'm not really expecting it anymore, but had that ban been on the Stukov, then there was definitely a chance for it. And now we'll likely see whether WildHeart is looking to commit to double support or not, depending on what their next 2 picks are. They did opt last game to take the Lucio over the Stukov. They did lose with it, and I don't expect that they're going to be looking to go that route again. I think if the Stukov is available, they'll likely pick it up, but they don't. They go with the Anduin instead. This does signify there's a very low chance of double support. Anduin doesn't synergize quite as well with it as Stukov would.
Seems like the Anduin might be a defensive pickup as well, or reactionary from the side of WildHeart, as they have that Leap of Faith, and you can get the Glyph of Faith for the cooldown or for the double leap. So there are options for Anduin to kind of save here. But Grubby, I know there's a lot evolving, and I want to get your thoughts, as we're going to get 2 more picks from Simplicity.
You need some good synergy with Stitches. It's not really there yet. They're not bringing in a lot of CC at the end here from in Tychus and Hanzo. We've got a grenade. We've got a slow from the Ragnarok missiles in Odin form, and we've got a Hanzo Dragon Arrow. For the rest, it's all Blaze and Rhaegar with the CC. Luckily, though, Stitches doesn't need a Junkrat Wingman as much on this map, because forts are always just arm's length away. It is funny, though, they banned their own best synergy with Stitches, Medivh Junkrat. WildHeart this time is going to be bringing out the Zagara. Zergling is going to pick it. A Queen and a Zergling. Name a more iconic duo.
Grubby playing Samuro in Warcraft 3.
True.
Sorry. Anyways, there has been a lot that happened here, Justin, and I want to get your thoughts on the draft, because the Zagara kind of came out of left field, I will be honest.
Yeah, it's neat to see Zagara kind of making her way back into the meta a little bit as the season progresses. She hasn't really seen any changes, so it's really just that teams are trying her out more, finding out that she is working in scrims, especially against things like Blaze and Stitches. They're really high HP pool tanks that don't have any real defensive tools against things like the Zagara minions with the percent damage at 16. There's no shields or anything for them unless Blaze takes the level 1, which isn't really likely. And I do like that. They're kind of taking it away from what Simplicity played last game, and they're saying, yeah, the Zagara, that was really annoying. Maybe we should play some Zagara, and I'm sure it's something that Zergling will be quite happy to play, as he's kind of relatively new to that flex position. They're going to do a fairly similar setup to what we saw in the last game from Simplicity. It's going to be a lot about poke, and hopefully getting some kind of early game advantage with their early game Vala Anduin.
Alrighty, well, we'll see if that comes to fruition as we are loaded on in. And on the left-hand side, we are going to be seeing the members of Simplicity backed by the Raven Lord. It's going to be Mene on the Hanzo, Unaverted on the Tychus, Legacy on the Rhaegar, Pants on the Blaze, and Masquerade on the Stitches. Over in the right, in the red, backed by the Gravekeeper, it's going to be WildHeart Esports. We got Zergling on the Zagara, Slughunter to play the Dahaka, Anduin played by Weary Day, Muradin played by Tremor, and Mason Blaze on the Vala. I was looking at level 1s, a little exciting or interesting to see the target practice coming out from the Hanzo at level 1, and we can break down some of these talents, but I'm feeling WildHeart still here, Grubby. There's a hook that will go out onto Tremor, but want to get your thoughts on the draft and maybe what you're expecting from either team.
Well, we've got the very strong picks of Rhaegar and Hanzo and Blaze on the side of Simplicity, and Stitches' Gorge is very good on this map, one of his best maps. on the side of WildHeart, I feel like Zagara is probably a tool of vision. You have to give Stitches hook possibility a lot of vision, but creep tumors can help to kind of eliminate areas where he could potentially be. I think WildHeart's draft is a little better. I'm missing some of the raw synergy that Stitches often likes to have.
Okay.
You know me, I'll always vote for a Stitches Junkrat combo. But now, with the team that he has, I don't think there's enough.
And I see that too. I think Justin lightly touched on this about synergies around the Stitches, and I wonder if this is one of those considerations where it's like, okay, yeah, we got the Stitches and we have the Gorge, but maybe they're not banking on that to be the exact way that they find a kill. Maybe it's a Gorge and it's just too much displacement and too much distance for a hero to go. I don't know. We'll have to see what happens here as the game does progress and what the talents could be, because it also could just be putrid bile. I don't expect it to be, but hey, we never know. Either way, another hook will go out, will not connect, and the invade onto the camp will not yield any positive plays for the side of Simplicity. But since WildHeart already got their camp, now it's WildHeart's like, cool, we're going to be the ones to step in. You're already a little bit low on the side of Simplicity, and WildHeart looking for the invade. Pants coming around the corner, gets a big jump propulsion. Slug Hunter getting very low right here. He does have a burrow under the ground, but no level 4, so he's not going to be able to back away or like get the Lurker Strain sort of bot back. But this is an engagement that did not go over the side of WildHeart. They poke at the enemy side. Sappers are going to push up a little bit in bottom. Biggest thing to take away here, a lot of the mana bars are kind of low. Mason Blaze having to tap well. Weary Day playing along that wall in bottom. 4 Talonteers here, looking just at these level 4s. Cool little pickup for the Anduin at level 4, that Piercing Light. If he gets the Piercing Chastise, he raises his spell power by 1% up to 10. Keep in mind, as always, spell power does affect healing output.
Yeah, man, I'm a little surprised by Vala's talent tree pick, going for the Hungering Arrow build. Not as good into any tank. It's really for him to try and delete a Hanzo, a Rega, or a Tychus.
Yeah.
This is not as strong into a Blaze or Stitches, especially when you consider Hungering Arrow goes missing when a bunker gets used, so it feels inappropriate. We've been seeing so much auto attack build and kind of been made believers. And I suppose Vala is really scared to walk within the range of a Stitches team and just to kind of reliably be in the same place all the time in order to get max auto attack value. Too scary for him. He could get hooked, gorged. Maybe that's why he's leaning more heavily into the, let's say, the mage build, the one-on-one, the dual build. But it's going to be hard against a Death Ball to get that into relevant targets. But we'll see how it plays out. Mason Blaze obviously should know what he's doing. Meantime, though, WildHeart, they get that first double channel. 4 points advantage to WildHeart.
Tremor gets taken down quite low in HP, and there's no leap of faith this time from Anduin. Actually, it is off a cooldown, but Weary Day not going to utilize it. It would have been a baby leap, and it still, I don't think it actually would have been worth the cooldown reduction on it. Like, what, 75 seconds? Yeah, 70 seconds, excuse me. And Murd and Death Timer is not that long. We're early game. We are going to be seeing the Zagara creep cleared out a little bit here. Camp, not, what is the camp timing really quick? If they're floating around this, it's actually 10 seconds away or so. So it looks like there might be some invade onto this. No, not the case. Just continued rotation between lanes. On the note of the Hungering Arrow build, I do kind of like it for this scaling into the late game. It really scales super hard. You can get the Acrobat at level 20, so you can realistically get, like, what, 4 Hungering Arrows out, and at level 20, each Hungering Arrow initial hit is, like, around 400 damage, times 3, 4, how many you land, and you still have the bouncing effect, too. So late game, Vala can become a monster, but I'm with you on this. It does seem like a little bit of a timid pickup from Mason Blaze, just saying, okay, I can Hungering Arrow, vault, Hungering Arrow, and delay out some objective phases at my max range. But now, 8 to 7 in levels, a little experience advantage to the side of Simplicity. You get a double alter phase. As always, as it's top and left, we expect these to be traded out. We'll see if Simplicity plays aggressive or WildHeart tries to step up.
Usually you see the 1-to-1 split. Simplicity is close to level 10, where they could maybe think of bullying and trying going for a 2-for-0. But they're not going to play it like that at all. And we've got Rhaegar Hanzo defending the Sapper camp. In fact, Zagara is getting a little bit of nipping at her heels. The Haka burrows in on bottom lane. He's trying to get Rhaegar. I know we don't have the camera on it right now, but interesting to note that Legacy biting Zergling is now paying for that mistake. He goes down, hook on Muradin, a jump back on the point, and another one goes down, Tychus. This is Weary Day and friends responding to pressure. It's a 2-man attempt to kill Zergling. It didn't work out, and then they got punished for it. Rhaegar way deep in lane.
Tremor actually picked up the heavy impact as well as the dwarf block at level 1. So even an alt E sort of deal, like just a same spot kind of jump. If you land on an enemy, you slow them by 80%, but you also get sorry, my mistake. I thought you got cooldown reduction. I'm mixing up other talents. Regardless, Dwarf Block gives you that physical armor, and it's not a duration. You get the 75% physical armor, 4 charges of it every single time you use Dwarf Toss. And as I mentioned, there's no it doesn't go away over a certain amount of time. It's just you have these stacks up until they're used, and then you can kind of mid-max around your own cooldown. So I like what Tremor's picking up, and I like how he's utilizing it. Now Gorge onto a Muradin. Devouring Maw actually catches the stitches. Is there a counterplay into this Grubby? No.
Well, it looks like that's kind of the end of it. I'm not sure Maul was exactly necessary as well. It created a gap between Stitches and Mura, though I will say that mostly it was going to be... well, I guess it's mostly a forceful against Tychus, so that he can't chase either. Just a safety Maul. Keep things going for WildHeart. Now, Blaze is going to reach here first.
Dahaka does have brush stock. Do you want to go comms? Yeah, we can go comms.
Yeah, WildHeart.
In we go.
Aska.
I have legacy.
Yeah. It's far. Hitting pants.
I need trouble.
Back.
Yeah. Care hook. He's looking for hook.
Okay, I'll back up.
Can we clear his wave?
Yeah.
Yep. Okay.
We're gonna go over here.
Going again. Nice.
Look at Manny underneath. Look at Manny underneath. I'm in trouble.
We're looking at Manny.
I have to tap.
Okay. I have damage in one.
I have to tap as well. I need help. Do you have pull?
Yes.
I'm probably dead. I'm probably just dead. Yeah, I mean, I have dig in 28.
Just play slow. Play really slow. We're chilling. We have really good hope.
We don't have time. We need to play low class.
I have a maul if you can zone.
Step up.
I'm gonna maul this.
Look at Manny.
Top side. Zone the
Hey, we got cap.
Nice.
Okay,
we're down. There's a place.
Many.
Yep. I'll just appeal.
8 seconds on dig. I'm just walking though.
Bag's fucking broken.
Do you want to do their camp? Hanzo's dead for 15.
We could maybe.
Yeah, we can go.
Also, we can jump.
After a successful fight like that, we hear the war cry of WildHeart Esports as they are jiving on Towers of Doom. And I'm sure Justin is probably giggling because he knows exactly what this is like. Usually, when we're in WildHeart comms and they're starting to do their war shout like that, they are feeling themselves on a map. They're feeling themselves in a game. But I don't want to cast a curse them just yet because a massive downtown arrow comes through. Light Bomb is used, but Tremor is unsure of which way to go. Now here comes the brush stock. Oh no, immediate Gorge again! Did he just in turbo int Slug Hunter, Burrow? He does have Lurker Strain, bops back the enemy. Isolation will be used. Dahaka does go down, and yeah.
That was funny. Brush Stalker. Brush Stalker into Bon Appetit. First time I've seen that. By the way, first time I've heard on comms, play it fast.
Yeah. They're like, play it slow, play it fast.
No, we gotta play it fast. That was good.
I do like that. I was actually a little surprised by that myself as I'm taking stock of some of these talents. Oh, wait, hold on. I'm going to hold that thought really quickly because we do have a re-engage with the Commandeer Odin coming down. Tremor is going to be zoned away. 1, 2, 3 sappers make it in, but I think they actually all hit a dead, like 1 hit the tower and like 2 hit like a dying tower, so not the most value. Hook onto Zagara, but what stopped that?
Yeah, when Stitches super melee hugs a big wall, there's not enough displacement to drop Zagara off on the other side.
I see.
You would think she goes to his left or right, but that's not how it's coded. It's kind of got to be in front of Stitches, maybe like in front of 90 degrees in front of him, and he had like a something like a 210-degree wall hugging him. So if you want to make those hooks work, you got to take 1 step back, Effendi.
You a Hanzo main with all that geometry?
Hogger.
Same. Okay. Well, the fight does continue to break out. Gorge will be counteracted by the Devouring Maw. Here comes an arrow from Hanzo. Masquerade comes out of the Devouring Maw. Weird Day, very low. Desperate Prayers. We have a very low Tychus to fall. Slug Hunter lands the isolation onto Rhaegar. Rhaegar is absolutely blind in this fight. He does have Ancestor Healing, but I don't know if he's going to be able to get it off in time. Okay, it does come out onto Masquerade, but he is turbo blocked. Oh my god. I keep making the jokes here. I keep making the jokes here about Warcraft 3, but honestly, Grubby, that reminds me of the body blocking in Warcraft 3, where just everyone collapses around a unit and that unit goes nowhere.
Surround! It's a surround. Yeah, that was really cool too. Amazing plays too by Weary Day on Anduin and by Zergling. The moment the Gorge happened, bam! Instantly devouring Mal. And when Weary Day was in trouble, first he prayed for guidance, and then he found the answer. When you want something done right, or bombed right, I should say, you gotta do it yourself. In he went with the light bomb, double stun, got his shield, survived. The turnaround was complete. Great plays there by WildHeart. It's 32 against 19. Very entertaining game so far.
And Sappers in bottom lane will be attempted to walk in, but it's going to be a Gorge onto Vala. Now, Masquerade should not get into the death zone, but Mason Blaze comes out of this and immediately just starts auto-attacking, dumping in as much damage. Rain of Vengeance, auto-attacks, Hungering Arrow. Masquerade is turbo-blocked again by Tremor as he gets the Dwarf Toss. Keep in mind, he's got that heavy impact for the slow for 80% for 1.5 seconds. And this is a really good snipe from Tychus onto Zagara. I did not expect her to fall. Murden goes in, Tremor looking for the big burst, and he's going to be able to do so. Wait. Oh, I was like, how did Zagara get that kill? Her summonables. I was like, did the game just break, or am I just losing my mind? Okay, so the summonables got the revenge kill.
Yeah, summons were still there, getting that 1.75% per attack. Both Hunter Killers, aka Hydralisk, and Roachlings. Really cool body block by Murden as well. It was one of those stop, let me go moments, but Tremor would not move. Masquerade was trapped for all eternity. Vala, Mason Blaze, he was just standing still. He wasn't even stutter stepping, just arrow after arrow into Stitches' big booty.
Okay, hold on. Gorge onto Murden. He has Avatar available if he can pop the buttons. That's the big thing. Leap of Faith will pull him out. There's going to be a Chastise connecting onto 2, giving the 4th slot of spell power. Nice sidestep of Weary Day. Hook comes out. Zergling's the target. Leap of Faith to pull Zergling back. We have a Devouring Maw onto the Stitches as the Tychus will be picked off. Bunker comes down from Blaine. Rain of Vengeance to lock down Mene. He gets the Ancestor Healing from Legacy. Another hook goes out to Haka's the target. He should have a burrow. No, it's actually on a few second cooldown right here, but it doesn't matter because the drag is available. It's going to connect onto Stitches. He's locked into place for a few seconds. Tremor loses his Avatar. Objective phases up. 1, 2, 3 Sappers go through the bottom lane, if I'm not mistaken. And this is a not game-winning fight, game-winning altar phase, but it could be because boss would be those last damage. Here comes Murden. Dwarf toss in. Grubby, take it away.
Yeah, Slug Hunter finally finishes that channel. It was actually Hanzo with the Dragon Arrow throughout that mid-fight that got an interrupt on Slug Hunter. He started rechanneling. He was at 90%. He's like, forget this, man. I'm gonna join the fight, and he did, and it was good. Before he arrived, Tychus died, and then he helped with the aftermath of the fight. They will be letting go the final bell tower. That's just one bridge too far. WildHeart playing it safe, anticipating everything. Felt that hook coming with their spidey senses. Now they're gonna defend the bottom fort. There's a Sapper coming. In a crazier world, the game ends in a minute, Sappers somehow go in, and then the boss gets taken. But most likely WildHeart is looking at a very comfortable level 20 and just playing it out safely. They know they're going to get plenty of options, plenty of ways to finish out the game coming from here because they've got everything. Forts, levels, and tower shot advantage.
During all of this bottom lane pressure as we're looking at right now, keep in mind, ladies and gentlemen, that on the minimap, we're seeing Slug Hunter do Slug Hunter things, and he is going to be able to grab this camp. He is also grabbing some experience to increase the gap to level 20. We have a solid level lead, and now Simplicity, they want to take boss off a map, but this is a very telegraphed moment, though the damage is way too quick, and I think members of WildHeart recognize this, and they're just going to go ahead, take the 4 shots from boss, and play it slow, but at the same time, they got to play it fast.
Gotta play it slow, play it fast. Have the wisdom to know when to enact which one. And they're playing it slow for now. Now that the altars are coming out, we're looking at it and we're doing some advanced arithmetic. We've got 5 shots for an altar, 6 HP on Simplicity's core. That means if they get 1 altar, it would be 1 HP left on Simplicity's core. Not quite enough. Our Sappers coming here, they're gonna get stopped by Simplicity. They're showing up in force, taking those down. Now, at minimum, Simplicity needs to get 1 bell tower, preferably more.
Stitches goes to the bottom lane to grab that altar. We do have Tremor being zoned away. Masquerade should get the channel. And 3 shots go to the side of WildHeart. It's 6-22 in core HP. But keep in mind, I'm sure some people at home might be like, it's over, GG's, you know, it's going to be Simplicity, let's go next map. It's Towers of Doom. It's anyone's map. It's not over until that last bell shot goes in, and Zagara gets the channel right here. 5 shots do rain into the core. 1 HP to 22. And I know how it looks. I know how it all looks. I have seen games like this come back dramatically. So I'm seriously not even counting Simplicity out yet. I know it's a massive hill to climb, but hey, we just saw somewhere in the ballpark of 10 damage into the WildHeart core over the last few minutes. So it is slowly coming back into the Simplicity's Simplicity's slowly reeling in the potential for themselves. They just need to make some god tier hooks, some god tier plays. We'll have to see if that actually is available. Stitches does have that master hooker for level 20.
So you are saying there is a chance. All right, noted. Simplicity is on the edge of a precipice, but they're trying to reel it in there. Meanwhile, there's one thing we haven't seen before. Stitches with a freaking angel halo. Anduin's animation stayed on him. Looks pretty elite. Yeah, looks pretty cool.
I was wondering about that because I think a few of us were talking about it like what is this halo around him? And it's actually, yeah, you're right, it's that chastise. Okay, so either way, it's just a visual thing. Doesn't matter. There's a hook onto Tremor. What's the follow-up? What's the play? Slowing Totem, very good to just zone back. Devouring Maul will be used. Tremor takes a lot of damage, gets the Leap of Faith. He pops the Avatar form. We do have Slug Hunter in the backline, trying to get some massive contagion value with that level 20 upgrade on the Isolation. Double Ancestral will proc onto Mene, but Unaverted's very low. Stitches isolated from his team. And I have to say, Slug Hunter just casually 1v4'd on Dahaka while the rest of his team killed the Stitches. That was supreme zoning mechanical play from the side of WildHeart.
Well, actually, Mason Blaze was there as well. He's getting free shots in. No one was able to stop him. Oh,
Hanzo.
That's a nuke! Fire the missiles!
The missile will connect, and that is actually the follow-up from Hanzo as well. So it's a 1-for-1. Dahaka chasing onto Mene. Drag will not connect, unaverted. Gonna have this Commandeer Odin for a few more seconds here, but bottom lane altar, this is the do-or-die altar for the side of Simplicity. The series won't be over, but it will put WildHeart in that advantage spot to potentially knock Simplicity down to the lower bracket. But as I said, it's not over. Legacy going for the channel. Tremor, does he have Dwarf Toss available? Throws the Stormbolt out. Dwarf Toss is available. Keep in mind, heavy impact. He also has that range increase with the Dwarf Launch. And here's what I was noting earlier. Dwarf Launch, if you hit an enemy hero with your landing, you reduce the cooldown of Dwarf Launch or Dwarf Toss by 2 seconds, taking it to an 8-second cooldown. But it looks like WildHeart, they're going to respect the side of Simplicity. WildHeart takes 4 shots, 1-18. And Grubby, I gotta say, this is insanely tense. I'm checking boss timer constantly. We're about a minute away from boss being up and available.
Oh, okay. It seems like only yesterday the Simplicity took that boss away to remove the threat of their imminent defeat. And now they have to worry about it again in just 52 seconds from now. They finally get bottom tower control, and they're going to be pushing in 3 sappers. Every little bit helps. That's 1-15. Not nearly as bad as 1-18. Meantime, top sappers get taken. Don't think they can kill the fort quickly enough for those sappers not to explode into the fort. So there's no chance that this actually ends the game. 1, 2, 3. Would have been cool if they actually managed to pressure there. Boss, 25 seconds, Bahamut.
Oh, boss is a tense one. We see some danger pings, and I don't think that was specifically onto Slug Hunter from the side of Simplicity. That might have actually just been like someone pinging and it happened to him. Regardless, they're checking boss with the Sonic Arrow. Doesn't get full vision. Pants does step in, checks the bushes. Nobody is there. Zagara does have a creep tumor right there that's cleared out. So Simplicity does show a little bit. Here's the boss. Now the boss has a global laugh. That's what you're hearing in the background. Masquerade goes for the blind hook. It doesn't connect onto Tremor. Is this the fight? Tremor does get hit, does land the Stormbolt. There's a cleanse on the Masquerade. Hanzo Arrow does not connect. Boss is tagged. It's hitting Slug Hunter. He needs to back away. Has the enhanced agility. Good burrow to avoid the hook. Stitch's hook. I'm going to look really quickly for anyone wondering. 7-second cooldown.
Does have that master hooker, so it's got the shorter cooldown. There's an Odin. There's a monstrous maul. Slug Hunter's going to try to get the drag tongue. The hook gorge will actually stop it. Ancestral just in anticipation of the drag tongue. A little bit early. Odin is safe. In comes another hook on Slug Hunter.
Oh, sorry. Sorry to yell over you. I was looking at minimap and Mason Blaze had the channel going in his favor, but Mene is able to zone back. Legacy goes for the channel. Grubby, it's plausible. 11 HP remains. Now I'm checking the Dahaka. He's got brush stock in 20 seconds. Boss is at 50%. Oh boy, oh man, I'm nervous for both teams, honest to God. One misstep from the side of Simplicity, it's GG. A couple more missteps from WildHeart, and it's GG as well. Like, what is? We don't have the preview for the next alter phase. Oh man, this is
that safety net that WildHeart had. That safety parachute, that's gone. Like, they're in free fall right now, and they've got one more chance to tug on the rope, or it's GG.
Stormbolt thrown back. Look at what Tremor's doing right now. He knows he's isolated, and he knows that there's a hook looking for him. So he's going to play around those sappers, having the sapper eat the hook. Now there's a chance. Oh my god, the damage onto Pants right now, but Hanzo's going to land a massive arrow to delay things out. There's a Devouring Maw onto the Blaze. We also have Legacy getting very low. He gets hit with the isolation. There's a Gorge onto Murden. Is he going to be able to make a play out of this? He pops Avatar form, lands the Stormbolt. Vala, Mason Blaze comes through, and Murden lands the damage. Slug Hunter going for the drag is very low. No boss available. The sappers are available in the bottom lane. We have 2 members dead on the side of Simplicity. The benefit for Simplicity right here, Grubby, is there hasn't been an... Oh, okay. I was going to say there hasn't been an announcement of the objective phase, so that death timer is not looking too bad, but Pants is now in an awkward spot. He gets hit with the Chastise. Mason Blaze comes through with the damage, and the Ancestral Healing will be there. Ancestral doesn't get the second proc with Farseer's Blessing, and it's Mene and Legacy to try and make the biggest defense on Towers of Doom, but I have to say this. WildHeart, I will say it's strategic in the way that they played this. They ate so much damage, but they played slow, they played for a win condition, and they played for this fight right here. Amazing play from WildHeart, stupendous play from Simplicity, but it will be WildHeart who get the last shots in, and this is going to be Towers of Doom going over to WildHeart as they take map number 3 in our best of 5 series. GG, well played, and I have to say, and I don't want to take anything away from Simplicity, WildHeart from that win. Simplicity played that so well in the late half. I was a little bit rooting for Simplicity because I was like, if anyone's going to make this turnaround happen, it's this team right here. And it was so close, Justing. Unfortunately, WildHeart, you heard the battle cry, and they knew they were going to win.
Yeah, that was the moment when I knew that WildHeart was going to win. As soon as you hear Zerg and comms do the... That's kind of like when you know that things are over for the enemy team. And they made it look a little bit sketchy there at the end. It was close. Simplicity definitely trying their best to claw their way back into the game. At one point, it was 1 shot to 18. And from there, we ended the game out with it being 1-7. And finally, WildHeart getting the cap with 7 points left of HP on their core. Really, really close. A near miracle comeback for Simplicity. It was nice to see them kind of aggressively look for those boss plays too. For Simplicity, just to remove it from the map. They did get some, kind of take advantage of some macro mistakes coming out from WildHeart to be able to punish that and just sneak those bosses without any real contention, because if they weren't able to do that, the game probably would have ended a lot earlier for them. And being able to win those, the late fight, get the bot for them on Simplicity, get the sappers in, it was a really nice attempt at a comeback, but WildHeart did play it smart. They, like you said earlier in the game, Baha, near the end, that they were willing to give some more HP on their core, waiting for kind of the perfect opportunity for them. My MVP for this game is probably... It's really hard to call between Weary Day with this fight where he had an insane play, Tremor, or even Zergling or Mason Blaze. Everyone really played well. Slug Hunter played well as well, but it's less noticeable when he's at Dahaka. He's a big tanky dinosaur. He's not as obvious when he's making plays. Mason Blaze, well, he was kind of unseen in the game. He wasn't super flashy. He was constantly hitting the proper targets, getting a lot of damage output, and I kind of like that he went into the Q build. I think it makes sense when you have the Zagara. You aren't really relying on the Vala to get things low to chip away at the tanks quite as much when you have that Zagara with all of her percent-based damage. It's kind of the Zag's job to get everyone, all the front line, a little bit low for you. So I like having the Q build to be able to finish them off. That's something that we see quite often when you see Tychus with Bigger They Are, for example, where you don't have that type of burst follow-up from your other ranged, and things get a little bit awkward when the heroes get low and you can't finish them, you can't kill them. But Tremor, this is, I believe, the first game we've seen a Murden go what I would consider the best Murden build. To me, this is the proper Murden build. I've been a bit of a Murden one-trick myself in Storm League lately, So if you see me, don't ban it. Well, you might want to ban it because it's like all I've been playing is just Muradin. And I'm going the same build as Tremor, but with Haymaker because it's, you know, fun. Storm League fun. But aside from that, taking the jump slow, you saw how much value it got at level 7. Pretty much every single time when he's 16 and he has that long range jump, every time he jumps on somebody, he sets up his own Stormbolt with the jump slow. He basically guarantees that without a cleanse, he's going to hit that stun. And you're pretty much just dead as a ranged character if you get jumped on by the Muradin with that talent. And Tremor making very good use of it. And well played by both teams. The series definitely still up for grabs for either team.
I'm very happy to know that my Storm League build is the same as yours. And actually, to be honest, it has been the most successful Muradin build that I found as well. The dwarf block stacks, the Stormbolt for, you can actually, like, you feel like you do something as a tank with that level 4 oh my god, Sledgehammer, and for the increased damage, and you have cooldown reduction from your baseline 10 achievement. All those dwarf tosses, they synergize so well. The dwarf launch for the cooldown reduction as well as just the range you can have, and then Bronze Beard Rage at level 13 is just self-sustainability, more burst ability. I absolutely agree, Justin. Maybe not about the Haymaker, but I might be just too cowardly to take the proper level 10 talent for a Muradin player, but it is still a really, really good series, really, really good game, and I have to say, like, it was a little bit of a struggle for me to kind of call it an MVP for the side of WildHeart. For the side of Simplicity, I actually really think that Mene had some shining moments on that Hanzo. I think he did a really good job. The Stitches play there were some decent hooks, but it was almost Grubby like there was an answer from WildHeart any single time. It was like, oh, it's Dahaka Gorge, Leap of Faith. I mean, there were a couple of Dahaka kills, but like Leap of Faith or Muradin gets Gorge, he dwarf tosses out. Like, it didn't feel like that hook Gorge was really as terrifying as when WildHeart ran it back on Tomb of the Spider Queen.
It's because there's not enough CC follow-up.
No jump.
There's only damage. Like when someone is trying to get away, like the Haka, he can just brush stalk away. Not brush stalk, burrow away after he gets hooked gorged. Only thing you can do is try to grenade him to interrupt, and that only works on like what, Hanzo jump, I suppose. It's nothing like dropping someone off into a trap where people can't even use their escape. So I think that makes a difference. Kind of called it, seen the Stitches often enough, and they made it really close though. We cannot boil this one down to draft whatsoever.
Right, right. It was execution.
A little bit, but like, yeah, like execution, obviously. It was a great place. Everyone on WildHeart, like really good roots by Anduin, really good drag tongues by Slug Hunter.
It's a fantastic series, and we're excited to tell you where we're going to be heading into for map number 4. This could be the deciding map that drops Simplicity into the lower bracket in this double elimination and punches the ticket for WildHeart to go up against 30k tomorrow. This is going to be the map choice of Simplicity, taking us to Volskaya Foundry. Now, stats as always, I just want to let you all know, Volskaya Foundry record for the side of Simplicity, 4-1. They have 5 maps played, 4 wins, 1 loss. The side of WildHeart, they sit 1-1, 2 maps total played, 50% win rate. As we load on into this, it's an exciting map, an exciting series to say the least, Justin, and I don't know if I could really call this, like, be like, oh yeah, WildHeart, they can definitely win through Volskaya, because Simplicity showed some very strong signs of life, and if the last map was Volskaya, I feel like that could have been a Simplicity win, or maybe I'm a little too copium for the side of Simplicity here.
I mean, we'll have to see. Simplicity is the team that was kind of the original Volskaya pickers. They were the ones that really played this map quite a bit and kind of made it a little bit more popular, a bit more of a map that people played. Because, yeah, they were kind of the first team to really innovate on this map and show how to play the map. We do see the Falstad already being banned away from WildHeart. That's something I was going to note on is, with Falstad being banned now, Mene typically either plays Zagara or Falstad on this map. In the past, he likes to split push quite a bit. I wouldn't be super surprised to see a Zagara priority, now that they know that WildHeart plays it, go up quite a bit in the draft. Because now you have Zergling and Mene, who both might want to play the Zagara here on Volskaya. So it's a little bit interesting dynamic with the drafts, kind of, with the two teams' drafts strategy kind of clashing with each other. Also the Vala, if Mason Blaze is able to get Vala for WildHeart, things might be a little bit difficult for Simplicity. I think that Mason Blaze, well, he doesn't make flashy plays as there is the Vala picked up. He doesn't make necessarily flashy plays, but he plays it nearly perfectly. He's always min-maxing his damage, he's always focusing the proper targets. He is just an absolute standout player when you give him a hyper carry like Vala. He probably has, I would say he's in top 3 at least for the strongest mechanical players we have in the league. Like we saw in that last game, Mene tried to hit him with a Q, and he just barely sidesteps it with a little jiggle to keep the game going for them in the last one. So it's just really strong mechanical player. And there's the Zagara super early, like I thought might happen.
I have a couple questions for you, Justin, here, and actually it's one big question, but I want to know because I wanted to play off of exactly what you're saying, Mason, Blazes, Vala. The stats from the last game, Zergling Zagara had 113 or so thousand heroic damage. Mason Blaze had about 80,000 and was deathless in that game. Zagara did die once or twice, so that's the comparison. Like, Mason Blaze positioning is so good. Now here's the question I want to pose to you, Justin, is with a Zagara being picked this early, is she easily countered, or is it a bit of a bait to try and focus on countering Zagara? And if there is a counter, what would you draft to get to shut her down?
So Zagara isn't easily countered by sort of the traditional things of either like damage reduction or attack speed slows or anything like that, as it is all percent damage and it's all through her minions, so you can't reduce that damage at all. The best option is to either play to try to dive her. Well, they do have the bunker now, which makes that a little bit of a less attractive option, as she can always hop into the bunker if she's under too much threat. You either would be looking to dive her or just draft things that can kind of absorb the damage, the random poke damage that she does with the minions. Dahaka's a good start as he has the essence to heal himself. Being able to either sustain through it or pick things that can just kind of kill the minions that she spawns quickly, because that's something that if you don't play against her a lot, you don't really think about. But if you play tank and you're playing against her, you're watching as your health bar just gets deleted, and you're like hoping your team notices all these little critters that are just deleting you when your team doesn't really notice it. So picking things that can kill the minions is definitely helpful.
Okay. It's good. It's just good little things to note because it's just such an early pick, and thought it would be a good discussion point. Now, Grubby, I see you looking deeply into the draft, and I have to pull out from you this information. Can you give us a bit of a breakdown of what you're thinking here for the draft for Volskaya Foundry as we get 2 more picks from WildHeart?
Oh, that's a win for WildHeart. Stitchy Junkrat.
I literally just wrote down WildHeart win.
Is it going to be Chromie? Is it real Chromie again for some reason?
It did work on Alterac Pass, but I don't know if it can work the same way here on Volskaya Foundry though, Grubby.
Yeah, but into Stitch's Junkrat, my, that's a tough one. That's just a really good combo coming out together. It's going to be Greymane. They're going to be ramping up a little bit more aggressively. Chromie is great at poking and a Western standoff, but Stitches dominates those.
Well, we'll see if Stitches can dominate here. And of course, as always, we got to get Justin to break down these drafts and let us know who he thinks could potentially win, or just any thoughts on the drafts at all.
Yeah, both comps have their pros and cons. Simplicity's comp is a little bit weird. I almost would have preferred to see them go with the Chromie again, since it was so successful for them the first time.
Okay.
And also having the time traps to kind of counter-engage would be nice as well. Greymane might have a bit of a difficulty really getting in against the enemy team. You're going to have Junkrat traps everywhere where he can't really step in through those, and it might be pretty difficult for him to really ever feel safe being in range of the Stitches. It sort of feels like it's just another hook target or Tremor on that Stitches, because as it stands right now, Brightwing, Tyrael, not really targets for the hook. They both can blink away quite easily. Greymane, not quite as safe if he gets hooked. Zagara really doesn't want to get hooked, so Mene is going to have to either be blocking that with his W, spawning a minion to block for him, or just positioning really safely behind his team. So not a ton of hook targets for Tremor, but I think that with the Junkrat being able to synergize those two things together, they're going to be in a good position to get picks on the side of WildHeart. And having Vala being played by Mason Blaze and Weryday playing the Anduin with the Anduin Vala pairing so well together, I kind of expect WildHeart to sort of just snowball this game quite hard.
Well, we'll see if the Avalanche is available for WildHeart or if it has settled in the days of the cold weather, because we are here into our map number 4, Volskaya Foundry, Simplicity in the blue, Mene on the Zagara, Legacy on the Brightwing, Pants on the Blaze, Unaverted on the Greymane, and Masquerade to play the Tyrael. Over on the WildHeart side of things, looking to close things out in a 3-1 way, much like 30 Cages did, we have Weryday on the Anduin, Zergling on the Junkrat, Slug Hunter on the Dahaka, Tremor on the Stitches, and Mason Blaze on the Vala. I am right with Grubby. When I see Junkrat Stitches, I vote for Junkrat Stitches. I think we could have a really strong composition from the side of WildHeart. I think their pick potential is actually really, really high. We are going to see once again the level 1 for the Vala to be the puncturing arrow, and I think this just plays really well around the objective. Zergling is going to be the one who really needs to make a lot of the plays with these steel traps, positionally wise, so that way Tremor can land these. And we'll have to see how things unfold here, Grubby. And I want to get your thoughts as well. I'm calling for a WildHeart win as we have Pants. Oh, that's a good setup. But Blaze, Pants is going to be able to slow things down. Legacy with the phase shift.
Nice peel with the jet propulsion. Yeah, I think, oh my god, I think Stitch's Junkrat, unbeatable composition, except in the most extreme of circumstances or the greatest skill disparity. There's also a little bit of scaling baked in with Mason Blaze's Vala coming out once again with that Hungering Arrow build. He had about 50 stacks or so in the previous game. That's a lot of bonus damage. Each one offering 6 bonus damage. That's quite nice. So he's going to be able to delete people that are going to be coming for him. If this is a Simplicity win, it's going to be off the back of the it's going to be off the back of Zagara, Greymane, and Tyrael being able to do strong pushes. Just putting it out there, there's always that possibility of going core with Holy Arena Sanctification and the big damage of Zagara and Greymane. Even when people are trying to defend, that Sanct 4 seconds can be enough if you've made a bit of a start on the core. So let's see if we ever get to that situation.
Vala immediately on the top right of our minimap is going to be working on the camp. Good camp timing coming out from WildHeart. We often see this camp grabbed just around the objective phase. The reason being is it works very much like the Impalers, or the Fallen Shaman camp, excuse me, on Battlefield of Eternity or Infernal Shrines, just to have that off-lane pressure. Now, this camp doesn't push so effectively like the Fallen Shaman, but it still does get some siege damage. And speaking of siege damage, Unaverted and crew are just looking to open up top lane. The old tactic used to be open up top lane, take down well, prepare yourself for control point B. But since we've had our wells changed to be invulnerable until the fort falls, we've seen the harder shift, which was priority into prepping for control point C. That was often the two ways you see the Triglav played, either rotating to top to prep for for control point B, or going for the long game, the late game, and preparing for your C point, opening up that lane. But we'll see how things unfold on Volskaya Foundry, as the camp will be cleared out. No camp on the side of Simplicity just yet either, the siege camp. And Pants, Mene, a little bit low in the bottom lane. Objective Phase A available, 7 talent here on the horizon for both teams.
Let's see what they're going to be getting there. We have that double route again by Anduin that Weary Day put to really good use, actually, in the previous game on Towers of Doom. Objective is starting, and Stitches is starting to reluctantly kind of step on that point. He's like, all right, I'll channel it. Let's start this timer. Simplicity, wholly unconcerned with that. Keep in mind that once you've got the point, you're actually allowed to step off it.
Yep.
For maybe up to like 3-4 seconds without losing any scaling progress. Step off, get back on before the thing runs out entirely. But Simplicity's 100% concerned with side push, and WildHeart is respecting this, giving up the point. Junkrat trying to double lane, whereas Simplicity is applying 2 members to laning. So whenever that happens, Junkrat cannot keep up with that. He will have a little bit of siege damage to Blaze in mid, then to Zagara in the bot. They're even trying to drop his health a little bit by converging on him. And he's playing it safely. Daka now burrows bot as well to help his friend in need.
Looking at just some of the levels and the scaling, it's pretty standard across the board. I do like that we are going to see Feeding Frenzy for the Dahaka. More drag potential as you have a 1.5 second cooldown on your drag ability. And you also, keep this in mind, because I feel like we overlook this, the passive upgrade. Now, it's 0.5 seconds, but 0.5 in Heroes of Storm is a long time. Like, a 0.5 stun is still great. And it's a 0.5 increased duration on the drag. And there is going to be, Grubby, the First blood of the game in favor for the side of WildHeart Esports.
I don't care what chat says. If it was not in sync, it's freaking lag, man. In my headset, it was totally synced. Was it for you?
A little off, but I don't know. Sometimes like our Discord is a little different than the vMix that goes out to broadcast. So it's one of those things where we're battling. Oh, production is confirmed. Okay.
Was I late?
I actually. Okay, production
Okay,
says
so
yes.
next
I wasn't
I
sure.
need to go slightly before I hear you. Well, that makes it just easier. The moment you hear my you can go There we go. We're gonna get it once.
Well, the Triglav Protector isn't going to do that much damage as it gets the Fort Front Gate Gorge onto the Greymane. He doesn't go... he's dead. I was going to say, he's not over the wall, but the Rain of Vengeance. Mene, though, is threatened. Triglav Protector doesn't deal a lot of damage, but you know what does? Big ol' Concussion Mine.
A big old Concussion Mine. Yeah, that was enough. Didn't need it for the displacement. It was just straight up its damage that finished him off. And it does, it does 267 damage.
Rain of Vengeance to continually lock down this Ariel. That is a beautiful light bomb. And the layered CC from WildHeart. If we were in their comms, you know what it would probably sound like? Thank you, Grubby. I bless you, Grubby. You're the best. You're a treasure.
It's just a guess.
And you're probably right. Like, I was like, literally, I was thinking, I was like, I wonder what WildHeart's doing. Are they calling out, I got hook, I got light bomb? No, I'm pretty sure it's just a bunch of turkey noises in their comms.
Exactly. Most likely. And maybe we'll be lucky enough to hear it once again as we're getting into it. At this point, it's sometimes hard to guess when stuff is gonna go down. When it's gonna be happening, because they just pretty much, like, I've never seen that. Like a light bomb before the hook even gets thrown and then have that connect in that way. That's fantastic. WildHeart are vibing.
We've seen it on Towers of Doom, and we might be seeing it here as well, but we're not going to count Simplicity out just yet. The scaling still can come through. Greymane can really start shredding into the enemies as well. I think a 5v5 is going to be a lot more telling of what could potentially happen here. But as we look at the draft and everything, I don't think WildHeart really wants a 5v5. They want a hook. They want to displace with concussion mines. They want to continue to drag with the Haka drag tongue. They want to light bomb stuff. Like, I think this is just WildHeart. They're just going to pick apart the members of Simplicity. And I think there is a little bit of a mental game with that as well. Constantly single target picking can really start to just hinder your own kind of... oh man, that was such a good leap of faith. Light bomb once again. Okay, sanctification, phase shift. Okay. There's a little bit of a mental game is what I want to get at, but the fight continues to break out. Unaverted's the target. Polymorph onto Slug Hunter. He's fine. He's going to be just floating around looking for a drag as a soft cooldown.
Yeah, I agree with you there, Bahamut. I mean, people get tilted, sometimes losing to side push, but I've never seen teams get more tilted. Talking about the teams that I play in, usually Storm League and so on, than when you keep bleeding out into his stitches. Like, don't get hooked is far more common to hear than don't get mosh pitted. You know what I mean? Like, it's like stitches.
And sometimes, especially with this level 13 with the 40% range now, it's sometimes hard to even just not get hooked forehead. Like, you don't even see it coming because it's a hook that's like 3/4 of a lane distance. It's absolutely crazy. But what is also crazy is just Volskaya Foundry. And do you want to jump into any of these team comms? Maybe we check in Simplicity and just kind of hear how they're getting along.
Yep, let's do it.
Into Simplicity we head.
Cell phone clear. It'll take forever.
Yeah.
Still mid.
Okay.
I guess I think he's wait 16.
Can bait the gorge again.
I don't know. Good.
Do you want me standing near you, Maska, or what are we doing?
I mean, you have to do stuff, guys. I just survived, but you have to do stuff.
Okay.
I have to move
going in.
the guy on, but...
Are you okay? Easy.
I don't understand.
You use silence, by the way. No ISO, no ISO.
I'm walking bot here. Maybe we push for the forward.
No.
Okay. Yeah, Junk's top. Pressure bot.
It's...
dive.
Back off mid. I have Z if they go on you bot.
I can come mid.
I think they're just gonna take mid for it.
I will take care of mid. Go maybe bot.
Kill?
Yeah.
You get pulled.
Taka?
They still have Gorge. Ooh.
Okay.
We need to... no, we're fine.
Finish this.
Yeah.
They left.
Probably on their turret.
They
might be on here actually.
Yeah, we can do our turret.
We just want 16.
I don't think we want to fight without saying.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't think it's a condition. So mostly I will use it to survive gorge.
Not the most explosive comms. I was maybe thinking they might try and step in for a even talent tier fight around the objective, but it's going to be just gaining some items. And I think the one thing as I was jumping out of the comms and pulling us back into our casting room is the takeaway, the biggest takeaway for that I understand is they can't fight on the side of Simplicity without Sanctification, it sounds. They don't want to fight without it.
And then Masquerade was starting to say he doesn't think it's really that important. It's mostly to save himself.
Oh.
Actually, quite a lot of disagreement in the comms and sad noises, actually. They were frustrated. They're behind. And they're having trouble bringing up the mood. But it can get better again once they get some kills. People love working together when they're winning.
Yep.
Even when it sounds a little tough right now. The most frustrated I've heard is Masquerade calling out, you guys need to do stuff. I can try to stay alive, but you need to do stuff. Right after they asked him, what do you want us to do? So doesn't feel like a fantastic vibe right now. Would prefer to go into WildHeart comms next time. But they're pushing in hard here.
And WildHeart will respond with a push of their own. Slug Hunter just kind of floating around, selling the idea that he could land a tongue or slow this down. But this feels like we are just going base race, and Simplicity are just all in on trying to go core right now. They do have Sanctification, so they could try and end with Sanctification. And WildHeart, if we could take a peek into the top lane, I want to see, are they all hearthing? Are they trying to trade?
They're trying, but they get interrupted.
They get interrupted, and I think they see WildHeart, sees Simplicity leaving, so WildHeart reinvest, and they go for this keep, and they don't even need to stay here. Camp, wave, will clear it.
Yeah, it's always smart to start like Hearthstone options.
Yep.
And have some people go back, not everyone. Make sure you get that keep, but make sure that people can't actually go core. So a keep for a keep. 1 fort lead for WildHeart, 1 level lead for WildHeart. But Simplicity still gets their keep. And remember, they've got Sanct. Right now, WildHeart can never feel safe again to leave bottom lane exposed for too long. And this is the lane that they don't have any forts in. So there's going to be constant catapults into nothing. That means it's going to be very little vision for WildHeart. So although they're winning practically in every respect, there is that chance that Simplicity can just go core and end it at almost any time.
So you're saying there's a chance, Grubby. Okay, a hook is available for Stitches, so is Gorge. Polymorph utilized. There's going to be an all-in on Tremor. He's going to get the Leap of Faith. Gorge is over the wall, and there's going to be a Devouring Maw that spits out unaverted. Phase Shift comes in from the Brightwing Riptire from the Junkrat in the top lane area. That is going to be Stitches going down. Masquerade very low. He tries to back away. Junkrat coming in with just a barrage of grenades, but he's not going to be able to find a kill. And Legacy is going to be fine. So is Masquerade. It's a kill into Stitches. 69% on the channel for the side of WildHeart. And now WildHeart, we're looking at it on the minimap right now. Look at bottom lane. WildHeart immediately, they say, okay, we can't fight, we can't do things. We just try and push out bottom because this is the lane that is our lose condition here. And you nailed it perfectly, Grubby. Sanctification on a core with a gray main. That's terrifying. Zagara does deal decent damage to structures, but look at this mid lane fort to fall as well.
Greymane does have that Executioner. There is that Eager Wolf talent that gives 40% attack speed after 4 seconds. It's not the best, but it is actually really, really good into buildings. I like it on Battlefield of Eternity. That would make this even scarier. But Executioner, much more reliable for the fights. As it stands, Simplicity is starting to peel away the onion layers. They've gotten a fort, they've equalized structurally, and are now only down 3/4 of a level. This is supposed to be WildHeart's strong moment with Stitches, Junkrat, what have you, but a nice Sanctification usage and a blow up of Stitches was really nice for Simplicity. And the Devouring Mauls by Mene to stop Gorge Abducts are basically what most Anubaraks can only dream of. And he's really good with those timings there, stopping the Stitches.
The objective control point B is left at 94%, so obviously 6% necessary to get the objective phase. And the reason they're delaying this out is, one, is it gives Zergling the opportunity to clear things out through bottom, but it also allows that 20 talent tier advantage to come through. Is this going to be a walk through top lane? Is this going to be a Triglav protector for the bottom? I think the only way we can for sure know is if we jump in WildHeart comms. You want to get in there?
Let's go.
And we go to WildHeart.
Play the Katas and then come Slug. You can also dig from here.
Are we bottom?
The thing.
I want to go hungry.
I want to go mid. I think I want to go mid.
Okay.
Kill these creeps, man. No, it's fine. I just need to get my nature down.
Coming. I'm thinking about hungry.
I'm playing health on this. I'm playing health on this. I need to Hako for the...
I'm coming.
They have 20s.
Okay, friend.
I can start pushing Brandon if he ever steps up.
Try to W the Zagara. She has no movement speed.
Okay.
Let it drop. Let it drop his thing. Just W. They have 20s now. I think we go bot now. I don't think we stay here.
Sure.
I think we go with the wall.
Our waves are not pushed up. We probably just got wall here. Not too much else.
I can't even step up. This is so much room for Tio Comp to understand the invasion from our core.
Yeah.
I have to clear the wave.
I hate this. We have 30 seconds. You should be fine.
Yeah.
I have
They're
to run
burning
it.
it.
Run, run.
No, you can't.
Come back.
You're a Junkrat inside.
Me up, pull.
I'm popping out.
Okay,
Give her a hook here.
Okay. No ISO.
Get him.
Huge.
Look more.
Well,
out,
we have bucks.
I can ult this wholesale. Nice guys,
another
pick up
Riptide.
your... Can we end top or is that
This one.
I think we end.
We end.
We end. Take the thing.
Okay.
Yeah, just do the camp right now by yourself.
Yeah.
I'll take advantage of that.
We're gonna get dismounted, but we have to end top.
We have Zagged. We have a.
We have turrets. We have 3 turrets as well.
Yeah.
We're chilling.
We can-
Turrets.
yeah.
Their core's dying as well. This is so good. Oh!
Go.
Just play. Okay. How are we playing this? Yo.
You tank slug as much as you can, and we drop all our
Clear the wave,
turrets.
clear the wave.
Watch fancy here. Check.
All damage on core, by the way.
I'm in core.
Okay.
I'm just zoning. You guys hit. Okay.
I'm
hitting.
zoning fancy.
I'm
this
gonna
up.
ISO
Yeah,
second.
thanks. I got kicked.
Hit.
I'm
Core.
core. I'm dying on core.
Core. Everything on core.
Oh, good job, guys. Let's go. We're third, guys. Let's go.
And just like that, Grubby, the members of WildHeart will be sending Simplicity into the bottom bracket in our double elimination grand finals. Like this bracket is insane, and I will be honest, I really was thinking we were going to a game 5. I thought Simplicity had kind of found the answer for the Stitches composition, but that's not the case by any means. I tried to stay in those comms as long as we could so we could hear the victory screeches, if you will, from the side of WildHeart. And Justing, I'm sure you have been in those comms after a winning game, but we got you back here to break everything down from Volskaya Foundry.
Yeah, the comms definitely get a little bit wild there. When you get a win like that, you could hear Zergling at it again with his war cry. And yeah, definitely some celebratory sounds being had by WildHeart at the end there. The early game felt really rough for Simplicity. It felt like they were kind of always running away from WildHeart. It felt like there was really no way for them to fight. You could hear that in the comms too from Simplicity. They felt a little bit deflated from the previous time we listened to their comms in this series. You could hear Unaverted and Masquerade having like a little bit of an argument, like, okay, I don't know what we're doing. Like, what's the plan? Like, they weren't really sure of how to play the fights, and I can't really blame Unaverted for that in that situation. He's a Greymane with relatively short range into the Stitches comp that if he steps up to get damage, if he ever gets hooked, he's just going to die for the most part. There's almost no way to save him. They have the Sank, they have Brightwing, but it's not really the most reliable way to save somebody at that range when you have so much displacement from the long-range Stitches hooks and the Junkrat stuff. It's just, you could tell too when they did finally get the bot fight, Junkrat is even not only using his basic abilities to combo with the Stitches, he's also using the Riptire to disrupt the team that's coming to help. So there's just a lot of disruption, and it's very, very hard if you do get hooked to save anybody and to really get a whole lot of value on the side of Simplicity in a fight. The one thing that their composition did well, which after the fact, oh, really quick, I wanted to note this, that was insane synergy and trust between Wary Day and Tremor. I've never seen the light bomb came out before the hook even went out, and this was the fight that won them the game. You could hear in comms from WildHeart that they sounded a little bit nervous themselves, but a little bit more controlled. You could hear Wary saying, like, I hate this when they're going out too far. Like, they knew that they were in a position where they could theoretically throw the game. They didn't make that mistake. They backed up, and they kind of baited Simplicity to overextend. They get the hook, they get the Gorge onto Tyrael. Really well played to get those 2 picks. And Simplicity did find some way to get back into the game. I was almost worried it was going to turn into an all-out base race after hearing how deflated Simplicity sounded, and then seeing the base race sort of starting. I thought Simplicity might just be like, well, I don't know how else we win, like, let's just go for it. And I thought they would, but they didn't. WildHeart feigned like they were going back. They all channeled their backs, and when they see Simplicity back off, that's when they finish the keep. So good kind of mind games there. And overall, just really well played by the side of WildHeart to be able to win the series 3-1. Looking forward to seeing them in the winner's bracket.
Oh, we will see them tomorrow, but what we're going to see immediately is a interview with Weary Day from WildHeart, and we can kick that off immediately. Weary Day, can you hear us?
Yeah.
Congratulations. I gotta say, for someone who just had like explosive comms and all that craziness, you just come in with a yeah. How are you feeling? Are you pumped to be knocking Simplicity down into the lower bracket of HeroesCCL?
Yeah, we were definitely really happy and excited about getting this dub, but honestly, I'm just trying to like, you know, calm down a little bit and just think about the next set.
Oh, okay. Well, I guess no celebration just yet for you, and that is really respectable. And before I hog every single question, I want to throw it over to Justin for a question or two for you as well.
So congratulations. It's probably a pretty big deal for you guys to try to avoid the match that Simplicity is going to have to enter in the losers bracket. What are your sort of expectations, or if you had to make a prediction, what would it be between Storm and the Simplicity that you just faced?
I think that set will be very close. I think it could go either way, so I'm not really sure. It'll depend on who's going to be able to do their homework and be ahead on terms of like drafts and predictions like that, I think, and who shows up and plays better. And of course, us going to 30K, that would be a really tough series, and hopefully we bring like kind of the same stuff you saw today.
Okay, all right. Grubby, any questions for Weary Day?
Weary Day, in the game today, there was a pretty heavy contesting for Zagara.
Yeah.
Normally we don't see her a lot. Do you guys know something other teams don't? Option A. Option B, you just like her. Option C, you were taking her also to deny her to Mene.
Yeah, so I don't want to say too much about our, I guess, previous draft plans and things like that.
Sure.
Yeah, I think overall, like, you see like a pick like Zagara that can be not necessarily super at the top of the meta, but she's still kind of strong, right? Especially when you get to like deep into like tournament brackets. A lot of the times you see a certain pick kind of like shoot up in priority, kind of like Tyrael. You see shoot up in priority in like older lands, right? And this is, I think, kind of something like, you know, the meta just shifts game after game in a set. And this just what happened, I guess. And both teams kind of play it, and it seems like it's a pretty strong and contested pick.
Which is really interesting. Thanks for sharing what you can. We know you're still right in the midst of things. Good luck in your next match too.
Yep.
Yeah, we really enjoyed the matches today. I hope you guys had fun. I mean, it sounded like when we jumped in your comms from time to time, you guys were having a pretty good time. You were jiving, and communication was always there. And just congratulations once again on staying in the upper bracket. I know you have a lot of work to do, so I'm not going to keep you any longer because I want to let you have the opportunity to do some shout-outs. The floor is all yours.
Yeah, thanks. Shout out to you guys for sure. Shout out to HeroesHearth. Shout out to WildHeart, Goon, Jazzy for taking care of some scrims and stuff. Shout out to Meggies for warming us up this morning. And hopefully we'll make you guys run tomorrow as well.
Oh, it was a great series today. We look forward to your matchup tomorrow. Good luck. Get some good sleep. Get some good practice, and we'll see you tomorrow up against 30K.
Thanks, guys.
Thank you for joining us. Alrighty. Well, I gotta say, Justin, and let me actually ask you this, because you've played. After you have a win like that, were you this calm, cool, and collective, or is this all kind of like Weary Day putting on a bit of a front, like, yeah, it's whatever, we're cool, like we're good?
No, I think it's mostly a Weary Day thing. He's just a really calm person in general. It's he's constantly the rock, he's not gonna be freaking out too much in comms or anything. He's always just really solid and calm and cool. Just
yeah. Of course, I mean, you might have played a couple games with him here and there, so I was just curious. But speaking of games, we had a lot of games today, Justin, but I do believe we have the HeroesCCL double elimination bracket power play of the day presented by Wisdom. What do you have for us today?
So the super mega giga cool play of the day, powered by Springy, is going to be 30K showing how to play Alterac. So we can go ahead and roll the clip. The beginning of this clip is Yasu getting very close to dying, but just barely living and being able to buy some time. This was where I had mentioned 30K is always looking for an advantage before they take a fight. So they use this time to give up some objective on the first objective, some timer, in exchange for XP. They're soaking the midwave, and they're getting close to the point where if they get one kill, they will get level 10, and they come from all different angles. You have Haswabs playing from the top side while the rest of the team plays from the right, and they kind of just pinch the front line from Storm, and there's really nowhere for them to run. And as soon as they get this kill, they get level 10s. Instantly, you can see the cocoon onto Junkrat, You have them channeling, trying to stop the channel is Lauber, but he's not there in time. The shockwave comes out onto Lauber. Rutzo gets immediately arrowed with that level 10 advantage as the Bloodlust comes out. And then the fight's almost over, but Ivy Tings makes a nice little Junkrat play here, using the knockback into his own bombs from the level 7 to be able to escape and get the kill onto Yasu. So just a nice little individual play by Ivy Tings, but this is how they're able to stall out with 0.9 seconds left and then capture the objective for themselves.
Extremely well played by the side of 30K. Storm Esports did fall in that series. It was just overall like a great day of games. I really enjoyed the double elimination bracket. I was hoping for 10 maps total, but we got quite a few maps, and I believe we can actually kind of update everyone at home as to what the bracket looks like. And Grubby, could you break down what happened today and maybe what we'll see tomorrow?
Let's break it down. We got 2 3-1s here. 30K, the number 1 in the league standings, continues to impress with a 3-1 victory over the Gauntlet/ladder bracket winner. We've got WildHeart Esports beating the 2x winner in Simplicity with a 3-1 score. They'll be meeting in the finals. Both of those two teams have secured a top 3 placement. The loser of Storm Esports and Simplicity will be eliminated in 4th place. The winner goes on and meets the loser of the winner bracket finals. What's going to happen tomorrow? Only one way to find out. Tune in.
Oh, you'll have to tune in tomorrow. We're going to start with Storm Esports versus Simplicity, and then 30K versus WildHeart. It is going to be, simply put, a wild day of games tomorrow, Sunday, here on HeroesCCL. And as a reminder, stream starts at 11 a.m. PST, 2 o'clock EST, and 20 CET. You do not want to miss tomorrow's games. If you thought today was explosive, I only expect tomorrow to be even more intense. And with that intensity, I got to get your thoughts here, gentlemen, on maybe a takeaway from the day. We'll start with Justin.
So I really enjoy the double elimination format. I've played in a lot of tournaments where I've had to face the team that ends up winning the entire thing fairly early on and gotten knocked out in single elimination and felt pretty bad about that, thinking that, wow, who knows, we could be the second best team, but we played against the team who won the whole thing twice to get knocked out, for example. So I think the format is really, really good. You're going to know for sure, because it is double elimination, you're going to get that second chance if you do lose to, right now it's looking like 30K could be the top contender. And so it's nice to see Storm Esports, while they did lose there, they still have a chance. They're going to go up against Simplicity tomorrow and still have a chance to come up through the losers bracket. And we could potentially see a rematch of that 30K Storm in the finals. But also Simplicity and WildHeart looking super strong. WildHeart especially, I'm glad that my theory was correct, that it looked like they were scaling up as the season progresses, because they looked very, very strong today, pretty dominant in their wins. And it's just cool to see kind of the progression of the team from the start to the end. Like listening to their comms at the start, it was pretty much all just circling, telling everyone what to do. And then you listen to the comms now and it's completely different. They're all communicating with each other and working together really well. And it's nice to see that, because with how good 30K is playing, we're definitely going to need a team to step up if anyone's going to take that spot from them, because 30K is also just looking, they're the standard, I'd say, right now.
30K is a shining example of just team coordination, good comms as well, as we heard earlier today, and overall good, fantastic draft theory, just to put it simply. But Grubby, of course, any takeaways or final thoughts from today's matches?
Yeah, my feelings about each team. I'm a bit worried for Simplicity. I fear their morale has tanked, probably for reasons unknown to us, some kind of inner dynamic. Maybe reading too much into those little comms there, but it is a bit concerning. And well, our 2x winner maybe internally combusting a little bit. That's the feeling I got right now. That's going to be hard, therefore, for them in their next match into Storm. Storm looked like they had the most unforced errors, I would say, among all. So between the two, we've got a team that's still mechanically very strong in Simplicity, but Storm has the better atmosphere probably. And I think the power of friendship can prevail. So we might actually have Simplicity going out in 4th, if that's how it goes. Between 30K and WildHeart, well, that match coming up is going to be absolutely amazing. You don't want to miss that. I feel like probably there's a 1% advantage for 30K just based off of how I saw them play today, but both were so good. It's going to be a lot about that energy of the moment kind of thing, the daily shape kind of thing. Anything could happen. Nerves will come into play. Momentum, morale, everything is going to come into play, and it's going to be something you don't want to miss for sure.
Tomorrow is a do or die day for a few of these teams, or at least actually one of these teams, between Simplicity and Storm Esports, as Grubby had mentioned. If Storm beats Simplicity, that is Simplicity ending their season in 4th place, or Simplicity could rally. They could bring it back tomorrow and knock Storm into 4th place. A lot is going to happen here on HeroesCCL tomorrow, but unfortunately, that is the end of our broadcast today. We'll be back tomorrow, Sunday, with more amazing games at our normal start time. Just a reminder, 11 a.m. PST, 2 o'clock EST, and 20 CET. Thank you all so much for watching HeroesCCL. Thank you for donating towards the prize pool, for buying some merch potentially today. Hopefully the advertisement maybe enticed you to get yourself a new Season 3 CCL shirt or something like that. But either way, from me, Grubby, Justing, and the Wisdom family, thank you all so much for watching HeroesCCL. We'll be back tomorrow. Until then, we'll see you in the Nexus. Good night.